Chapter 961 Show Your Full Strength. At this time, Kid was like a child who failed the college entrance examination and had no face to see his parents. He knew that Andre had done a lot for him. In order to allow him to grow better, he even forcibly divided the territory of the 4 emperors and divided public waters for his development. However, it is precisely because of this that Kid is eager to make some achievements in response to his master's expectations. Just losing to Kaido in a row is a heavy blow to Kid, which makes him feel that his current achievements are worthy of the cultivation of his master. When the huge Chronos approached Kid's flagship Gemini, although Andre hadn't shown up yet, the Emperor's aura and coercion had already made the Avengers feel pressured up and down. Little Lolita's eyes were rolling. She knew that this was here to take her home, so she immediately filled with smiles, with a pure and lovely expression, and greeted Carlos and Enel. Uncle Three Guns. Uncle Big Ears. Double Gun is Little Loli's nickname for Carlos, because Carlos always carries 2 revolvers and a sniper rifle. Girl, your mother is waiting at home, how about you? I heard that she is very angry, you have to be careful. Hello. Carlos and Enel spoke one by one, scaring the little Loli. The Loon family only came out to play for 2 days. Little Loli lowered her head and made a very aggrieved look. This pitiful look made Carlos and Enel quite speechless. This is only 2 days of play. Chaogia came to the New World, how many lives were almost caused? And if Harold hadn't rescued him in time, Luyu might have suffered a lot. I went to Uncle Andre, he will definitely help the Loon family to intercede. After little Loli finished speaking, she jumped onto the boat with Moonstep and ran towards Andre. Uncle Andre, you once said that as long as you bear your name, the world will do whatever I want, so you have to help me, or my mother will definitely hit me. Little Loli looked righteous. We're so used to you. Andre looked at the unrepentant little Loli, and was quite speechless. Seeing Andre shaking his head, little Loli said again, just like this, Uncle Andre, you will punish me for confinement in the city, and I promise not to sneak away this time. You still want to make trouble in the city. Andre knows little Loli too well. When she was on Sky Island, she was lawless, and she often made troubles on Sky Island. If she went to the city, there would be no peace. The Loon family promises to be obedient. Really, I promise with my 1-year snack. Little Loli raised her hand and pretended to swear. You tell your parents, don't look for me, I can't control it. Andre directly put aside the relationship, he didn't want to deal with this little devil. HMPH, Uncle Andre really has no sympathy. Watching the Loon family being taken back to Sky Island to be tortured, the mother will beat the Loon family with a whip, the Loon family will definitely be beaten to pieces, and they can't sit for several days. I have to face a group of old-fashioned teachers every day. Little Loli began to complain, as if she had been wronged by the sky. Andre's head hurt when he heard it, and he could only use his trump card. Hancock, take this girl to your room and discipline it for a while. Aunt Hancock is here too. The little Loli jumped up like a cat with frizzy fur. In fact, on Sky Island, in addition to being afraid of her mother Luyu, the second is Hancock. Although Hancock has always been the object of her admiration. Are you going by yourself, or I'll have someone carry it for you? Hancock's attitude towards little Loli has always been very firm. She does not spoil children like Makino, because her practice is usually to petrify the troubled little Loli on the spot. The Loon family will go by themselves. Little Lolita lowered her head, knowing that Andre's road would not work, and she could only go home to face her mother's anger. Little Loli was brought into the cabin by Hancock, and Andre also caught a group of accomplices on the deck at this time. These Shandia little warriors are all the little valet that little Loli received at Sky Island. Hang it on the bow for a week, and next time, just chop it off. Different from being tolerant to little Loli, Andre's punishment has always been severe for boys who make mistakes. These little Shandia warriors were taken away, and the deck was suddenly quite empty. At this time Kid stepped onto the boat. You all go down. Andre waved his hand and screened off Violet and Domino and other female guards. Yes, Violet and Domino left one after another. Andre and Kid were left on the deck. Boom! Kid knelt directly in front of Andre. Master, I let you down, I'm embarrassing you, please punish me. Andre walked up to Kid at this time, then squatted in front of him, raised his hand and patted his head, and said softly, "Get up." Instead of getting up, Kid slammed his head on the deck and said firmly, "Master, please punish me." Andre raised his hand and pinched Kid's face with both hands. There are a few more scars on the face, the body is stronger, and the person is more sturdy. It's not bad. Master. Don't be so loud, and I'm not deaf. Master, if you are free, go to the city to see your wife. She will pay attention to your news every day. She has always been proud of you. Of course, you are also my pride. I, Andre, cultivated a world-famous apprentice by myself. I don't have the face to see her, and I don't have the qualifications. Kid choked and said, tears streaming from his eyes. Andre patted Kid on the shoulder. Find a place, let me see how much you have grown. Don't tell me, you only learn to be depressed and cry, that's a real shame. Kid froze when he heard Andre's words. Wipe away your snot and tears. Crying in front of your family is a sincere expression, but don't cry in front of outsiders, because it's a coward. Remember, you are my Andre's apprentice, understand? When Andre finished speaking, he heard a snort from Kid. I see, Master. Kid wiped his tears and looked up. Kid was groomed. Andre summoned Violet. Is there any desert island around here? There is a deserted island 40 nautical miles to the southwest. Go there then. Andre nodded, then patted Kid's shoulder hard. Show your full strength. Chapter 962 Talent is not enough, practice to make up. Andre came to his turf, and Kaido was quick to hear the news. Although I don't know what Andre's purpose is for coming here, Kaido, who likes to die, naturally won't miss this opportunity. Andre was a non-issue for Kaido. The Chronos broke through the wind and waves and came to the desert island that Violet pointed to at high speed. And in addition to the Zero Team and the Avengers, the second team also came to hear the news. Ace originally just wanted to say hello to Andre, and had no plans to land on the island. But Andre was very enthusiastic, and asked Carlos to invite him to the island together. Although he didn't know what medicine Andre's gourd was selling, Ace accepted the invitation. As soon as they landed on the island, Ace saw Andre and Kid standing in an open space, maintaining a distance of 100 meters from each other. Is Andre going to play against Kid? Ace Vivi frowned, standing quietly watching the follow-up development. Master, here I come. Kid bowed respectfully, and armament hockey covered his body. Andre shook his head and said with a smile, before we start, I want you and Chen Shin to fight first. Me, great. Little Loli said she was very happy. Be a little ladylike. Hancock lowered his head and put his hand around little Lolita's ear. Aunt Hancock, the Loon family is wrong. As the saying goes, one thing is another thing. In front of Hancock, little Loli still dare not be presumptuous. Let's get started. Andre motioned for Hancock to let go. Hancock nodded, then patted the little Loli on the head. Go, but don't go too far. The excessive that Hancock refers to is naturally a bad move such as inserting the eye, locking the throat, and flirting with the vagina. The Loon family knows. Chen Shin appeared in front of Kid with a shave, and then punched Kid's pants crotch. This girl. Hancock was about to explode on the spot. It's okay, leave her alone. Andre walked over to Hancock and wrapped his arms around her waist. At this time, Kid had already used observation hockey to understand Chen Shin's movements, so he took a step back and avoided the key point of the attack. However, Chen Shin slammed into the air with one move, and immediately slid in place, came to Kid's left flank, and then hit him with an elbow. This elbow hit a shui position on Kid's body. If it hits, it can temporarily paralyze the lower part of the body. The attack method of these acupoints came from Nakan of the Ward Pirates. Nakan was proficient in Chinese medicine and human acupuncture points, and taught her Chinese medicine boxing to the assassination team. After Khalifa learned this, he transferred it to Chen Shin. However, Kid's left hand blocked Chen Shin's fist in time, and at the same time raised his right foot, and hit him with a knee. Chen Shin Vivi frowned, then raised her hand to block the knee strike, and at the same time jumped up with the force of the knee strike, and performed a flip in midair, opening her legs at the same time. Death clamp kill. If Chen Shin's legs were pinched by the neck, what the consequences would be, one can imagine. However, Kid is very familiar with Chen Shin's moves, and it can even be said that most of the techniques she knows, he also knows. Therefore, Kid did not dodge, but jumped on the spot and hit Chen Shin directly. Bang! This collision made Chen Shin feel bad. Although after landing, she still tried to roll on the spot to remove her energy, but after she got up, her chi and blood were still a little sluggish. Kid brother, I am born. Little Loli suffered a loss, and naturally she wanted to find her way back to the scene. I saw that she rushed straight to Kid, and the speed was so fast that Ace was surprised, and what was even more frightening was that this little Loli was in when he came to Kid. He suddenly stopped suddenly, but continued to shave, leaving a trail of afterimages in front of Kid. If you look at it from the naked eye, it is simply a group of little Loli running around Kid, and you can't tell the truth from the fake. The derivative skill of shaving, ghosting, I didn't think she really mastered it. Andre said with a smile that the assassination squad has been researching Rokushiki over the years and has developed a variety of derivative techniques. And the ghost used by little Lolita is a derivative study of Khalifa's shaving of Andre over the years, the wind step. However, so far, the assassination unit has been able to master no more than 5 capable people with this technique. This trick doesn't work for me. Kid let out a low growl, then raised his momentum. Boom! Suddenly, with Kid as the center, the surrounding land cracked and collapsed. However, at this moment, little Loli suddenly rushed towards Kid, and hugged Kid's waist with both hands, making a start-up gesture of hugging and falling. This girl is so bold. No, it can't be said to be bold, it should be said that the timing of the shot is too appropriate. Ace's eyes widened, and a flash of light suddenly flashed in his mind. This was an indescribable insight, which was of great help to his cultivation. Although Andre is watching Kid and Chen Shin's duel, he is also observing Ace with observation hockey. At this moment, Ace's reaction made Andre shake his head with emotion. Ace is indeed Roger's son, the blood of the One Piece King of Pirates flowing in this body, and the talent that the blood has given him. In comparison, the difference between Kid's talent and Ace is not a little bit. If it wasn't for Kid's hard work, the gap between him and Ace would be infinitely widened. God, you're so unfair. Andre murmured softly. However, although Kid was hugged by Chen Shin, he did not panic. At this time, Kid was as steady as a pine tree, and Chen Shin did not move him even though Chen Shin exerted her strength. Kid's basic skills are very solid. He has never let up his physique and strength cultivation from beginning to end. It is precisely because of this that he was not succeeded by Chen Shin at this time. However, Chen Shin did not wrestle without thinking. Kid's strength is very strong. Since he can't hold it, he will use his fist to hit the shui position, or directly insert his eyes and lock his throat to attack the key points. It's just that before Chen Shin's follow-up attack was finished, Kid grabbed Chen Shin's hand directly, and made a gesture to grab her from behind to him. The corner of Chen Shin's mouth raised, and when she saw Kid's fingers, she decisively reached out and grabbed Kid's fingers, turning her body at the same time. Dance of Death. The strength of this twist and tear is very strong. Just like the crocodile tore open the prey by flipping, the destructive power and the explosive force are amazing. However, Kid actually ignored the tearing, and instead raised his hand and pressed Chen Shin to the ground heavily. Girl, you lost. HMPH, it doesn't count this time, I'll fight again next time. Little Loli was unwilling to lose, patted the dust on her body, and ran back to Hancock. Andre nodded with satisfaction. I don't have enough talent, I need to practice to make up for it. Not bad, very good, you didn't let me down. Chapter 963 The Key to the Top. At this time, Kid looked at Andre. In fact, his confusion came from himself. It is clear that he has put in the hard work that ordinary people can't keep up with. He is obviously working harder than anyone else, and he is clearly learning everything from the master. But the setbacks over and over again made him feel that his path was stalled. Able to defeat Kaido means that you cannot reach the level of the four emperors, let alone reach the top of One Piece, King of Pirates, and finally challenge the master. In comparison, Ace still has a lot of room for growth, and his growth rate is simply terrifying. Kid can see that after each battle, the gap between Ace and him is shrinking. At this rate, it is only a matter of time before Ace surpasses him. Unwillingness and frustration, as well as the bottlenecks that had to be faced, made Kid lost. Andre has long seen Kid's talent, let alone Ace and Luffy, the Sons of Destiny, even Sabo is inferior. It is a miracle to have such achievements and strength now. To be honest, Andre is already very satisfied with Kid. Just like Andre himself, his own talent is so high that he has never seen it before. After several years of hard work and strong fruits, he has surpassed the efforts of most people in his life, so he has never experienced what happened to Kid. Pain and suffering. Destiny is unfair, this is something that cannot be changed. However, Kid's efforts made Andre couldn't bear to stand by and help him. Come here. Andre hooked his finger at Kid, and now he can only do his best to find his way for Kid and guide the lost child. Yes. Kid nodded vigorously, and then he growled, starting to raise his anger and fighting intent. As the muscle of the muscle begins to swell, the metal on the island responds. Countless metals gathered on the top of Kid's head, forming two huge metal arms. Armed. Without the slightest hesitation, Kid covered his entire body with armament haki, and at the same time increased speed in an instant, heading straight for Andre. Call _. Call _. The most powerful fist broke through the air, and a harsh chirping sounded during the friction. Andre didn't speak anymore, he just raised his arm, like a sparring player, to resist the attacking fist, and at the same time feel the change in the power of Kid's punch. Kid attacked 50 or 60 punches in a row, but Andre didn't show any flaws. He couldn't help but feel a little anxious, so he drank in a deep voice, and then raised the strength of his whole body, shattering Mountain Fist. Bang! The punch of this heavy punch lifted the surrounding vegetation on the spot and crushed the ground beneath the two of them. The sand is full of dust, and the destructive power is amazing. It is not spectacular. It's just that Andre blocked the fist with just one hand, and didn't take a step back. Andre's strength is so strong. Ace is the first time to watch Andre's battle at close range, and based on what he knows about Kid these days, Kid's strength is very strong, and his strength is even more amazing. He can already face Kaido head-on, and has the ability to knock flying. Kaido's strength. However, the power Kid showed in front of Andre couldn't shake the latter at all, just like a mayfly shaking a tree. Is Andre really unbeatable? Ace secretly sighed in his heart. If Kaido only needs to find a weakness to defeat him, then Andre is like an insurmountable mountain. Strength can be practiced, but what about the techniques I taught you? Andre opened his mouth suddenly, and saw that he took a lunge forward with his right foot, which directly stuck half of Kid's body, and then hit his right shoulder and made an elbow with his right arm at the same time. In just an instant, 3 techniques were used. And during the whole process, Kid didn't even have a chance to guard against it, so he was hit with anger and blood, his body was unstable, and his feet even took dozens of steps back to stand firm. Obviously the power is not heavy, but why can't it be resisted? Kid was stunned, he could feel the power of the master attacking, similar to Chen Xin, but the effect was completely different. One punch may not be strong enough, then two punches, just knocking nails with a hammer, fast and efficient strikes in a row can double your strength, understand? Andre preached, and then a shave disappeared in front of Kid. At this time, Andre made an emergency stop and appeared in front of Kid. Next, Andre's action is jaw-dropping. It's a ghost. The little loli exclaimed. Ghost. The technique Chen Xin used just now. Andre controls his speed, which is the same as when Chen Xin uses ghost. Looking at the afterimages, Kid began to use observation hockey to be alert. He knew that the master and Chen Xin were completely different. At this time, Andre suddenly appeared from behind Kid, with his arms open, in a hug and slap start. Behind. Kid locks on the target, then turns sideways, his left arm up, and an elbow strikes Andre's cheek. However, Andre just bowed his back, and the short body easily escaped, and the action of hugging and falling was completed at the same time. Bang! Kid was slammed to the ground. But it wasn't over. Andre then grabbed Kid's wrist again, and turning over was a flip. Articulation. Click. Kid's left arm was folded behind him, and he bared his teeth in pain. Bang! Before Kid could jump up with his feet, Andre's left elbow was hard against his back. All of a sudden, Kid can't move at all, because the spinal nerve is suppressed, and the body is almost paralyzed. Mind and physical skills. Think about it carefully. If a rib is drilled into the horn, it will only be counterproductive. Andre raised his elbow and pulled Kid up. Spiritual skills. Kid stood there, thinking about the master's admonition in his heart. In fact, from the battle just now, Kid has learned a lot, making him understand how to go to the top. What he needs now is to digest these. There is also Ace, who is also comprehending. Today's battle has simply opened the door to the peak for him. In the past, the things learned in the Whitebeard Pirates were very complicated. Although everyone has their own characteristics, they sometimes make him feel dismissive, such as joint skills, fishman karate, etc. Now after Andre's words and deeds, he only then did I realize that I was in the midst of blessings and did not know the blessings. At the same time, Ace finally understood what Whitebeard said. Andre is the most talented, no one. Chapter 964. One punch is not enough, then another punch. Both Kid and Ace were comprehending what they had just seen and learned. Andre didn't bother them or say anything unnecessary. After all, he could only tell them how to get to the top, but he couldn't help them go to the top peak. But Kaido didn't care so much. He just wanted to have a good fight with Andre. As for whether this fight makes sense, Kaido doesn't care. He just wants to experience what it's like to be on the brink of death. Kaido brought a boat over, and without waiting for the boat to dock, he jumped to the island. Andre! Kaido shouted Andre's name, and then rushed over with big strides. The momentum of this charge, it looked like a mad bull. Knowing you'd come, Andre shook his head, then clenched his fists and blasted a shockwave directly in Kaido's path. The shockwave directly plowed through the ground, leaving a deep ditch in the ground, while hitting Kaido hard. Andre didn't hit Kaido so much as he hit the shockwave himself. Bang! After a muffled sound, Kaido's body was thrown out like a kite with a broken string. Kaido fell to the ground on all fours, but he quickly got up like nothing else. Ha ha ha. Kaido laughed and pointed at Andre. Andre, your fists are stronger than these brats. I've seen someone who doesn't want to be beaten, and I've never seen someone who's beaten up like you. Andre shook his head helplessly. Although there are all kinds of birds in the forest, Kaido is the only one who kills. Andre, I'm stronger than before. Are you ready to be killed today? It seems that you don't understand human speech at all. Andre shook his head, then said to the people behind him, you all get on the boat, don't be affected. Yes, boss. I see, master. Carlos, Kid and others left the island one after another, returned to the boat, and kept a certain distance from the island. That's right, with these trash fish, how can you display your strength calmly? Before Kaido could finish his words, Andre disappeared from his sight. Shave, 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 shave. Shish _ Andre's afterimage remained in the air, and the afterimage flashed by. Quick, Ace's eyes widened, looking at Andre in disbelief. Is this Andre's speed? It's so kinky. The cadres of the second division all opened their mouths with shock written on their faces. At this moment, a bang 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 sounded suddenly in the air. Kaido's body was then shot straight into the sky. When did you punch? I didn't see the punching action at all. Bang fist fight. Mid-air, Andre slammed his knee into Kaido's chin, then clasped his hands together, and slammed a cannon fist into Kaido's throat, followed by another phantom-like kick. Too soon. I can't keep up with the rhythm at all. Ace's eyes couldn't keep up with Andre's speed, and he could only use observation hockey to barely predict Andre's next move. Lie down for a while. Andre slapped Kaido's forehead hard, and his left arm swelled. Shocking the mountain. Boom. Kaido fell to the ground upside down, and his huge body smashed a huge pit on the ground with a diameter of several hundred meters and a depth of 100 meters. From Andre's attack to Kaido's landing, from start to finish, Andre's attack never stopped, and Kaido didn't even have a chance to fight back. Not that Kaido is too weak, it's that Andre's speed is too fast, plus the strength that surpasses Kaido, so he crushes Kaido in all aspects, and this is the one-sided battle situation in front of him. However, after Kaido fell to the ground, he didn't pass out. When he got up, his nose and mouth were full of blood, but the more he did, the more high-pitched his fighting spirit became. At this time, Kaido slapped Shang's mouth hard with his arm, roaring up to the sky. The skin is thick and resistant to beatings, and every time I have to waste a little strength. Since knowing Kaido's true identity, Andre has temporarily stopped the idea of killing Kaido. First, it is troublesome, and secondly, Kaido is a good sandbag that can be used by the younger generation as a training object. After being attacked so many times by Andre, he's still standing up. Originally, Ace still felt that his strength was too weak, but after seeing Kaido's current performance, he finally regained some confidence. Kid snorted, "What do you know, the master is not serious at all. Andre, come on, kill me with your true strength." Kaido became more and more mad, the expression on his face became more and more hideous, the muscles of the knot were bulging, the blue veins all over his body were violent like a giant python, and when he stepped on his feet heavily, the whole island was shaking, moaning. Moaning. That's right, I haven't moved my muscles for a long time. Andre's eyes changed, and the momentum of his whole body changed. As Andre's body began to accumulate strength, the ground under his feet began to crack and collapse. This kind of power, Ace frowned. Lie down for a while, Kaido. Andre made a punch this time. Ha ha ha, I can't ask for it. Kaido smiled wickedly, and also began to charge up. Then lie down. Andre picks up the speed straight away, heading straight for Kaido. Kaido was now fully charged, and punched Andre in the face. 80 times the power burst. Break mountain and thousand split fist. The fists collided, and the sound of cracking and cracking was constantly heard in the air. It seems that this space is about to shatter. Under the destruction of the two terrifying strange forces, the entire island collapsed from the inside to the outside with a bang. As strong as Kaido, he couldn't resist the blow from Andre to the strongest. Finally, as Kaido vomited blood, the whole person flew out. A simple blow, but it interprets Andre's peak terrifying strength. Only this time, Kaido gritted his teeth and forced his feet to the ground, stabilizing his body. It's not bad. It's stronger than before, and it can actually take a punch from me. Then try a few more punches. Andre stomped on the ground with his right foot, letting his body continue to charge forward, while his right arm recharged. 80 times the power burst. Junshin fist. The fist hit Kaido's mouth firmly. PFF'd. Kaido couldn't hold it this time, he vomited blood like a pillar. Chapter 965 Marriage. The next day, dawn. Liu Yu and Harold finally arrived at Kaido's territory. Liu Yu's face is already covered with a beard, and he is on the road day and night, but he has no image, but he doesn't care about his image now. As soon as he boarded the Colonos, he couldn't wait to find his daughter. He hugged her and asked, "Chenshin, are you okay, are you injured?" Andre shook his head helplessly, and said, "Don't worry, you are a weird girl, only she is the one who bullies others." "When has she been bullied before?" Tilda. "Boss, you can't say that, Chenshin is still young, if you bump into it." Okay, if you're worried, you can take her to the room to check, I really can't stand you." Andre waved his hand, he didn't want to listen to the tirade, and sent him straight away. Liu Yu had just left with her daughter's forefoot when Andre asked Harold, "Injured?" Harold patted Shang's mouth and replied, "It's just a small injury." Andre nodded and continued, "It seems that Fold Yawu's heart is really big, but it's still polite. He's messing with me, I'll definitely make him feel bad for a while." Harold asked eagerly, "Boss, do you want to eradicate Sog?" "It's time to bang him, and the assassination unit has found out where several Sog branches are located." Carlos took the initiative to stand up. "Then let me go, it's time to settle the old and new grievances." Andre thought for a while, and then agreed, "All right, the Nympho just happened to be back, so you can act together with the Nympho. If West Blue is concerned, Sabo and the others should be enough." Enel asked, "What about the New Generation Alliance? They are obviously from Fold Yawu, should they be removed as well?" Andre shook his head. "Those kittens and puppies, let Luffy take them to play. I would like to see what results Fold Yawu can get back after investing in a fluttering fruit." Mentioning Luffy, Enel couldn't help frowning. "Boss, I don't know if I should say something." "Just say what you want to say." "Boss, that Straw Hat Luffy's growth rate is obviously faster than that of Kid and Ace. I'm afraid it will threaten you in the future." After Enel saw Luffy's strength, he was already wary of Luffy. Folder Yawu opened a small stove for him, and if he wants him to cause trouble for me, then fulfill their wishes. Besides, don't you panic when there are no challenges. Andre shrugged, disapprovingly, said. "I see." Enel said no more. "Okay, let the young people play here, it's time for us old guys to go home too." Andre stood up, and then said to Kid, who was standing beside him, "I set a small goal for you, first to replace Kaido as the 4th emperor. I hope to see this news in the newspaper one day in the future." "I will definitely do it." Kid nodded firmly. Andre set off to return to the home city, while Carlos and Harold took part of the ships and split into 2 routes to North Blue and East Blue. Ace and Kid are still practicing, challenging Kaido again and again. At this time, Luffy was doing the same thing. However, Luffy did not directly challenge Charlotte Linlin, but set his sights on Buggy. Of course, this strategy must have been formulated for them by Fold Yao. By taking the hegemony of the public waters, based on this, the Bigmom pirates will be conquered. It's just that Buggy is not a vegetarian either. Without Fold Yawu's action, the alliance formed by the Straw Hats and the New Generation did not gain an advantage at all. Fortunately, North Blue's arms and assistance continued, which allowed the relatively weak Straw Hats and the New Generation Alliance to barely compete with the Buggy Alliance. However, evenly matched is not what Judge wants. Judge has invested 30 warships, more than 100 three-masted warships, 5,000 muskets, 10,000 war knives, and countless supplies of medicine and food in the New Generation Alliance. It can be said that these investments have not paid off so far. This made Judge a little anxious. After all, building an empire in North Blue was the first step in his ambition. However, the internal chaos in Tenryubito will not last long, and when the families return to stability, it will soon allow the world government to organize the army to crusade against North Blue. North Blue to resist the forces of the world government alone. Therefore, Judge needs solid allies. Looking at the world's major forces, West Blue's Kansas City is declining, unable to take care of itself, and only relying on the help of the Zero Team can it be forced to survive. Although South Blue's Revolutionary Army has successfully entered the Great Route, they still cannot shake the foundation of the world government. So I can't count on it for now. Although Charlotte Linlin is Judge's in-law, but Charlotte Linlin is cunning and never does business at a loss, so it would be unreliable to expect them to contain the forces of the world government. As for the Beast Pirates, it is difficult to protect themselves now, and under the attack of the Avengers and the 2nd Division, it is estimated that it is not enough. The Whitebeard Pirates dominate one side, they are on the safe side. Unless Andre takes action, they won't move. Excluding the above forces, only the most powerful Team Zero and the relatively low-key red-haired pirates are left. Although Shanks emphasizes loyalty and loves friendship, people like him will not interact with Judge too much, so he can also be excluded. After doing the math, the only allies Judge could find at the moment were Team Zero. However, Team Zero has a great career and strong strength, and now has West Blue in the bag, and wants them to help. Is this realistic? As the establishment of Marine IV Admiral began to regain combat effectiveness, army training was also put on the agenda, leaving less and less time for North Blue. How can I impress Andre so that he can help me? Judge couldn't sleep at night. After thinking about it for a long time, he finally came up with a solution: marriage. Naturally, the object of the marriage could not be Kid. After all, he has now left Team Zero, and 80% of the head of Team Zero will not be him in the future. So Judge has his eye on Sabo, and Sabo is not married in name, and is Andre's adopted son, and he was in charge of affairs some time ago. Reiju, come with me tomorrow to Andre's house. Judge has already made up his mind to marry Reiju to Sabo, thus marrying Team Zero. Chapter 966-Dismount. Germa's 66 feet S fleet set off from Tarama Harbor in North Blue, then crossed the Windless Belt, and headed to Team Zero's territory in a high-profile way. This time, Judge brought a total of more than 100 warships, and at the same time, he used 50 ships to transport the gifts, and the accompanying servants exceeded 20,000 people. Such a high-profile trip, Judge's intentions were revealed, and he wanted to let the world know that he wanted to form an alliance with Andre. For such a high-profile move by Judge, the world government is naturally paying more attention. Judge and Andre cannot be allowed to form an alliance again, otherwise, North Blue and West Blue, with a new world in the middle, then this world is really divided into two ends by the Red Continent, and the world government really exists in name only. Therefore, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the world government began to make corresponding countermeasures, and at the same time sent a large number of agents. However, after such a flamboyant trip, Judge did not receive the same courtesy after entering the Zero Team's territory. Whether it's the squads under the jurisdiction of Team Zero, the affiliated pirates, and other affiliated forces, they are not very interested in North Blue. After all, Judge is a typical grass in troubled times, and it is famous for its two sides. Stop for inspection. It was Man-Demon Jin who spoke. He now has the status of 3 bars in the Zero Division, and he also has 2 ships under his command, nearly 300 minions. However, compared with the current strength of the Kingdom of Germa 66, Jin is just a pirate with a little reputation. IG looked at Jin with disdain, and provocatively said, "What are you? You dare to let us be examined?" As soon as the words fell, the soldiers on the ship beside IG drew their knives and raised their guns. "Are you trying to fight? Do you know whose turf is here? I think this group of people wants to be chopped up." Although Jin's subordinates were few, they had been in Team Zero for a long time, and all of them were terrifying. Jin took a pack of cigarettes from his arms, lit one, took a deep breath, and said, "This is Lord Tyrant's territory. No matter who you are, you must follow our rules, understand?" A mere 3-bar minion, but also paired with our North Blue royal family. Niji's temper was even hotter, and if Yuji hadn't stopped him, he would definitely have started fighting. "What's wrong? I don't agree. Whoever disagrees, stand up. Who dares to try it, believe it or not, I will let you die in the sea today." The minions under Jin are also fierce and ruthless, wielding swords, aiming, and murderous. What happened? Judge came out of the cabin at this time. He naturally knew what happened, but as an old fox, he still asked knowingly. "Dad, these lowly bastards are going to inspect our ship." "Yeah, they're just a group of gatekeepers under Andre's command, with 3 bars on the outside, and they're still in high spirits." And Niji are both out of breath. "Really?" Judge's expression did not change, and he still calmly asked Jin, "Little brother, Andre and I are old times, so we don't need to check anything, and before I came, I also sent messengers to send letters." Jin ignored Judge and said bluntly, "If you want to go in, you must be inspected, and there is one ship that Big Brother Barbarossa allows, and the other ships are not allowed to pass." "What did you say? Just the 2 of you? Do you want to stop our fleet? Go straight ahead and talk to them." And Niji finished talking. Jin swung his hammer. "Are you brave enough to try it? The tension in the air is already very strong, and the guns will go off at any time and conflicts will break out." However, Judge had already seen it, and Andre was deliberately trying to give him a slap in the face. It's just that Judge is about to unify North Blue, the man who built the empire, and make him submit to a pirate. This is too embarrassing. While West Blue was a role model, it was based on the fact that Lucas was killed. If Lucas hadn't died, would Kansas get Team Zero to point fingers? He said it again without hesitation. Judge's purpose in coming to Andre is to seek foreign aid to deal with the upcoming war. If he offends Andre, let alone foreign aid, it is very likely that a war will break out with Team Zero first. It is obviously an unwise decision to go to war with Team Zero. After thinking about it again and again, Judge sighed, but decided to endure it for a while. Judge softened and let Jin's people come up to check on the flagship. Although it was an inspection, it was actually just a routine matter. Of course, Jin's subordinates still didn't forget the incident. "Okay, you can go in." Jin waved his hand, indicating that Judge's flagship can enter. IG and Judge, who were full of anger, even though they were angry, they sat back in the cabin honestly under Judge's eyes. The flagship encountered several patrols from Team Zero along the way, and the closer it got to the city, the more alarming the frequency and number of patrols. Send the main force to fight abroad, and still maintain such combat power. Andre is really not an ordinary person. Judge secretly sighed in his heart that, in fact, he was overhearted. Except for the main team and other teams in this episode, Andre has never been too concerned about how many people he has. Just like how much gold, silver and jewelry are in the treasury of Team Zero, how much jerky and noodles are in the granary, and how many medicines and ammunition are in the warehouse, Andre is too lazy to care. And as Andre's hegemony was solid and irreplaceable, more and more forces in the New World defected to Team Zero. There are young people like Jin, and there are indigenous people like the Zofur tribe. "Miss Bonnie, the people from North Blue are here, please let me go," the leading pirate said to Bonnie, who was eating meat and drinking on the city wall. "It's so annoying, that guy Bills isn't there, and he actually asked the old lady to guard the door. If you stay here every day, your appetite is bad." Bonnie, the big-stomach girl, has no ladylike temperament at all. At this time, she waved her hand impatiently. To the pirate beside him, he said, "Caribou, why are you still standing there? Hurry up to the gate of opening." "Miss Bonnie, I'm Crib, and Caribou is my brother." A pirate with a shovel in hand and a hairstyle like a chameleon responded naively. "Idiot, Big Sister Bonnie asked you to gate of opening, you go." A tall and thin man with a beard and a long tongue from time to time kicked his younger brother Crib, and then coughed hey flattering. Sister Bonnie, my brother is stupid, don't care. Chapter 967 The Heritage of Team Zero. Jewelry. Bonnie with long straight pink hair, wearing denim overalls, a white half shirt, dark red short boots, and heart-shaped lipstick. Judge was stunned for a moment, and then recognized the man eating and drinking on the tower. Big Stomach Girl. In fact, Judge once tracked the whereabouts of Jewelry Bonnie. After all, her fruit ability is very special. Her age fruit can adjust the age of other people at will, making them rejuvenate or senile. If this fruit ability is used in war, it is quite terrifying. However, Judge searched for years, but there was no clue. Now, after seeing Bonnie in Andre's hometown, Judge finally understands that Bonnie has long since been conquered by Andre and has become a member of Team Zero. However, with such a powerful devil fruit ability, why are they unknown in Team Zero? Judge is incomprehensible. In his opinion, if Bonnie is willing to join the kingdom of Germa 66, he will definitely reuse her. Although there were doubts in his heart, under the urging of the brothers Kreb and Caribou, Judge's flagship sailed into the water gate and entered the harbor in the city. The hometown of Team Zero is very prosperous, which Judge has already heard of. Andre is an aspiring pirate, there's no denying that. However, the residence of a pirate leader is so prosperous that it is far more prosperous than any city in the world. Based on this alone, Andre's skills and abilities are still awesome. And others who came to North Blue for the first time were particularly shocked. Although they are the royal family of North Blue, they have also followed Judge to the Mariajoy, and have seen the luxury of the world's nobles, but the life in the Zero team will definitely not be bad. Specialties from all over the world, all kinds of commodities, are dazzling and dizzying. Warriors and beauties of all races can be seen everywhere on this street. When passing by a pub, I saw an old ruffian who was lame and blind, dressed in fancy clothes and covered in gold and silver jewelry, and said drunkenly, "It's not me and you brats, back then when I killed Mariajoy with the boss of Andre. It was a thrill, you don't know what those Tenryubitos were afraid of at that time, all of them were so scared." Although the old ruffian was dressed nondescript, at that time he was wearing a special cloak made by Team Zero, and the 4 bars on the cloak were striking, so no one would think he was bragging. Around the old ruffian, most of them are young people, most of them have 3 bars, and some have 4 bars, but these guys are full of respect for the old ruffian, and they are full of yearning for the stories he tells. Judge was going to stop and listen for a while, but he heard a commotion from the street ahead. "Silver Fox, your mother's skin is itchy, come out again." Hey, you can't talk nonsense, I don't." Amid the scuffle, a lewd man with a fart butt hairstyle ran out of the casino. Silver Fox, the slow fruit person. Judge pays attention to pirates, especially pirates with strong strength or special devil fruit abilities. He is even more impressed. "Shirley, what do you want to eat today?" "Anna, I want to eat baked rice cakes." The bug man Anastasia, and the Princess Mancherry of the Dantata Kingdom, the one who heals the fruit. "Xiaoshen, I want to eat this, and this." Without waiting for Judge's gaze to stay on the two of them, a loli's voice came from the food stall beside him. Judge turned his head and saw that at the food stand, a loli with a teddy bear in her hand was lighting something. Beside the little loli, there is a white and tender little fat man. Loli is also wearing a cape, with 4 striped epaulets on the cape, and the little fat man also has 4 striped epaulets. Judge can walk over and take a look. It's actually her. Doflamingo's secret trump card, the childlike fruit ability Sugar. And the little fat man beside Shatang is Xiaoshen. But he is not good looking, he looks like a scumbag, how can he have 4 bars? "Hey, don't you stand here and influence me to pick up girls, okay?" Xiaoshen was not happy, he waved his hand with a look of disgust, motioning Judge and others to leave quickly. "Dead fat pig, do you know who you're talking to?" At this moment, IG grabbed Xiaoshan by the collar and pulled him off the stool at once. Really weak. Just as Judge shook his head secretly, a mutation suddenly occurred. Clothing in front of everyone, and the range of movements became bigger and bigger, and he even made dirty, sleazy, disgusting, obscene actions. Really humiliated Germa 66. Brother, are you crazy? Niji first wrapped IG's lower body with his coat, and then slapped IG's face with a slap. However, IG remained the same, as if he didn't feel any pain. At this time, Judge saw Xiaoshan, who was snickering beside him. His heart skipped a beat, and he thought to himself, could it be that this little fat man did his hands and feet? Hey, Xiaoshan, what are you playing? If there is another time, I will bring you sea-stone handcuffs directly. At this moment, a man with iron chains tied all over his body and two huge bone-cutting knives hanging around his waist came over. It turned out to be the magic chef Fujiwara Chuming. Judge greeted Fujiwara Chuming. Fujiwara Chuming said, "My sister-in-law asked me to arrange accommodation for you. The boss has something to do today, so I don't have time to see you." What? No time? Andre deliberately ignored us North Blue. IG's reaction was the most excited, because he had just been played by Xiaoshan. Pay attention to the tone of your speech, and don't call the boss by his name, or I will chop you up to make soup. Fujiwara Chuming did not know when, had already put the bone-cutting knife on IG's neck. At this time, a large number of people poured out of the shops on both sides of the street. Many of them are pirates with a reward of over 100 million. And according to the past, there are at least more than 300 devil fruit ability users. Unexpectedly, Andre has conquered so many masters. While Judge was secretly shocked, he also had a better understanding of the strength of Team Zero. There are many strong teams in Team Zero. If nothing else, even the main team and other teams in this show are sent out to fight. The masters who stay in the city can form a powerful army at any time. Chapter 968 Political Marriage. Simply bullshit. Judge and his party stayed at the hotel for one night, and it was not until the next morning that Lu Yu came to Judge. Lu Yu and Judge is not bad, they are old acquaintances. Therefore, Judge directly took out the pre-prepared gift, the rare spice from North Blue, which can calm the mind and help the quality of sleep. At the same time, I heard that it has a beneficial effect on some aspects of men's functions. Although it was a bribe, Lu Yu didn't care so much and accepted it very calmly. As for whether he will be caught by Judge, there's nothing to worry about, because it's quite normal for Team Zero to accept bribes. Just like Harold, he not only took bribes, he also demanded bribes. On Fishman Island, on West Blue, this guy made a lot of money. Therefore, there is no need to hide these public things. After Judge gave the gift, he told Lu Yu the purpose of his trip. "Brother Lu Yu, do you think I can do it?" Lu Yu thought about it for a while, then shook his head and said, "It's hard to say about the marriage. After all, it's the boss's family matter, and we don't talk much." Family matters. Judge couldn't help but feel a little anxious. How could this be considered family matters? This is obviously a political marriage, okay. And it is directly related to the upgrading of the Kingdom of Germa 66 to an empire, which is a big event to unify the North Blue. The most important thing is that after Team Zero and the Germa 66 Empire Alliance, they are even more powerful and their strength has greatly increased. Lu Yu smiled and said, "Of course it's a family matter. Although the boss likes to mess around with Mandarin ducks, he never takes the background of the woman into account. You should be very clear about this, and if you really care about that, our relationship with the aunt is not the same." That's it. Judge pursed his lips, pondered for a while, and then asked, "Then do you think Reiju might marry into Team Zero?" "It's hard to say." Lu Yu shrugged, looking helpless. Okay. Judge sighed helplessly. Although his general direction was correct, he was a little too hasty. Lu Yu took Judge and his children into the palace, and at this time, the corridor in the palace was full of rough-looking and sturdy men. These strong men were all holding big swords, standing on both sides of the corridor, majestic and daunting. These are the guards of this episode. They are responsible for guarding the security of the palace. They only listen to the boss's orders, so you have to be careful when you speak, and don't anger the boss. Otherwise, you will be dismembered at any time. Liu Yu's words were half-truths, but Judge and his party listened. Coming to the main hall, Andrebold and Grandiose sat on the throne, and Makino and Hancock sat on both sides. Domino, Violet and other female guards stood on both sides, waiting for Andre's orders. Judge, long time no see. Andre spoke first. Judge returned a salute. Lord Tyrant, long time no see. Sit down. Andre waved. Afterwards, maids came in one after another and placed the wine and dishes on the wine table. Thanks. Judge smiled, sitting in the seat closest to Andre's left-hand side. Niji and Yuji were a little unnatural. After all, it was the first time they had seen Andre so close. Although Andre always had a smile on his face, for some reason, there was always a terrifying aura that made them restless and restless. Reiju has the demeanor of a princess of a country, neither flattering nor humiliating, neither humble nor arrogant, which makes Makonating satisfied. After 3 rounds of wine, 5 flavors of dishes, and a change of glass, Andre finally mentioned business. Judge, I've read the letter you wrote to me, Andre said, pausing deliberately. Judge's expression didn't change, but his heart was still up and down. I don't object to marriage, and Kid married too. Sabo only married one. It would make people feel that I am unfair as a father, saying that I am partial to Kid. Andre's serious nonsense made Judge and others stunned. Because they never thought that Andre would be so fair. So, I promised to get married, but what? Judge asked subconsciously. Andre held the wine cup in one hand and smiled, but Sabo has to agree to it, right? Of course we need to seek the opinions of the parties involved. Judge secretly sighed in relief. Since you have agreed, arrange for your daughter to go to West Blue as soon as possible so that the 2 young people can develop a relationship. Cultivating feelings. Judge was stunned. Andre lowered his face deliberately. Of course we have to cultivate feelings. How can we get married if we don't have feelings? Judge's mind changed sharply, and after agreeing on the pros and cons, he said, Then let's arrange it according to Lord Tyrant's opinion. Well, then it's decided. Andre finished, and announced that the banquet would continue. But Judge's purpose here is not simply to find a husband's house for his daughter, he wants to get a promise from Andre. But Andre never mentioned the strategic alliance, which made Judge a little uneasy. If it ends up being the same as Charlotte Linlin marrying her daughter, wouldn't it be a big loss? Not only lost so much dowry, but also lost a daughter. Judge's reaction was under Andre's observation, and he didn't even bother drinking to himself. Hancock laughed secretly on the side. She knew that Andre was pretending to be confused and deliberately hanging Judge, but it was also funny, wasn't it? Makino didn't think too much about it. She was not interested in men's affairs, or the foreign affairs and internal affairs of Team Zero. She was the only person in the hall who was seriously observing the future daughter-in-law. Reiju also noticed that Makino was looking at her, so he turned Vivi Isho towards her. The smile was natural, and the manners were also very elegant and graceful, making Makino more and more satisfied. Moreover, compared to Koala, Makino prefers Reiju, a dignified and temperamental girl. Your name is Reiju, right? Makino asked Reiju proactively. Reiju nodded and replied, Yes, Auntie. The air here is a little stuffy, can you accompany me to the flowers gardens? Makino's invitation. Reiju froze at first, but she quickly reacted, knowing that the future mother-in-law had a crush on her. She nodded to Makino and stood up at the same time. Watching Makino and Reiju leave chatting and laughing, Andre put the glass down. It seems that Makino likes your daughter very much. Forget it, no need to cultivate feelings, just let Sabo come back and arrange the marriage. Huh, so soon. Judge and his 3 sons were dumbfounded, because they had never seen such a nonsense marriage. Chapter 969 Dissatisfaction from Big Mom. Sabo and Raju's wedding date is soon set, but this wedding makes Judge and others a little dissatisfied. Originally, Judge's purpose was to strengthen the connection between Germa 66 and Team Zero through political marriage, so a grand wedding could have an excellent publicity effect. It's just that although the wedding was grand, Andre's arrangement was unexpected. Because Sabo will be marrying Koala and Raju at the same time in this upcoming wedding. Raju is Judge's only daughter and the eldest princess of the kingdom of Germa 66. Her status is revered, so it's not necessary to go into details. But what is the origin of Koala? Heard that Koala used to be a cadre of the Revolutionary Army, and was forcibly kept in the Zero Division by Andre, and was slapped with the Mandarin ducks and assigned to Sabo. Well, not to mention what position she held in the Revolutionary Army in the past, just take her background and experience, which is incomparable to Raju, and I heard that she also worked as a slave of Tenryubito. Isn't that humiliating the royal family of North Blue by letting the eldest princess of a country and a slave hold a wedding together? 3 brothers, Ig, Niji, and Yuji, are all indignant. But Raju didn't mind too much. After all, the Empress Hancock, I heard that she was also a slave of Tenryubito, is now Andre's woman, in charge of the internal affairs of Team Zero. Therefore, she believes that as long as she marries Sabo, when Sabo officially takes power, she will be like Hancock, and even the power she will hold in the future will be above Hancock. Raju told Judge what he thought. Although the truth is such a truth, for the new emperor who is about to unify North Blue, it still makes his face dark. The Vinsmoke family may still be dissatisfied with the wedding, but the most dissatisfied person is Charlotte Linlin. Charlotte Linlin originally wanted Raju to marry her son, so that North Blue and the BIGMOM pirates would kiss each other. It's just that Judge has always avoided talking about this matter, always making excuses to shirk it. Now it's better, not only to marry the daughter, but also to gift at the door in person. Judge Old Fox, this is humiliating me. Charlotte Linlin didn't dare to make trouble with Andre, but that didn't mean she had such a good temper. And North Blue is Charlotte Linlin's important arsenal. If North Blue is lost, the supply of arms will be difficult. The most important thing is that Judge won't cooperate with her like he used to. After all, he has found a bigger backer, so he doesn't need to care about her face. Charlotte Linlin's expressions and reactions fell into the eyes of several children. With what they knew about their mother, they knew that a war was about to break out. Since Cracker lost to Luffy, Katakuri, who is also a general star, has been in the limelight frequently. At this time, when he saw that his mother intends to use force, he took the initiative to stand up. Mom, let me take someone to North Blue, and teach this group of scumbags personally. Mom, I can do it for me too. Smoothie also stood up, expressing herself in front of Charlotte Linlin. Cracker and Snag remained silent. Both of them had been defeated, so their words at this time had no weight. The Candy Minister, Perospero, saw that several younger brothers were starting to compete for merit again, and said, Mom, Germa 66 is about to unify North Blue. If you use force against them at this time, the timing is not right, and it will not do us any good. Oh, Charlotte Linlin, who was still angry at first, was stunned for a while, then looked at her eldest son. Go on. Perospero nodded. He knew that his mother had listened to it. After all, they were the Emperor Pirates of the New World, and it was useless to do too much for unprofitable things. The main force of Team Zero is basically in West Blue. Carlos and Harold also went to North Blue and East Blue respectively. Now in the city, only Luyu and Enel are left. Although Andre is very strong, he is very strong. Clearly, a war is not decided by individual strength alone. Before Perospero could finish speaking, Smoothie interrupted impatiently. Brother, if you have anything to say, just say it directly, don't be so verbose, okay? Yeah, we used to be patient with Team Zero in order to preserve our strength. Now that the main force of Team Zero is scattered, do we still need to care about them? Katakuri agreed in disapproval. Perospero was speechless for a while. How could he not see that these two younger brothers were swelled now? Cough cough. At this time, Perospero coughed lightly, and his eyes looked around his brothers and sisters. Mom, with Andre's character and his behavior, it is estimated that he will not give Judge any support, and the world government will not allow the emergence of a second Kansas in North Blue, and it will not allow Andre's influence to spread to North Blue, so I estimate that the world government will soon organize an army to attack North Blue. Smoothie snorted and said dissatisfiedly, when the world government is over, what else is there for us? I still insist on starting a war and directly seize Judge's genetic modification technology and obtain an artificial human factory. Mom, Brother Smoothie is right. Break down North Blue directly and rob them of everything. Brothers Smoothie and Katakuri, who had a lot of supporters, spoke up in support of their decision. North Blue's genetic modification technology, undead and extremely loyal android soldiers, as well as North Blue's weapons factories and shipyards, etc. Team Zero, which owns West Blue, these resources of North Blue are useless and dispensable. However, these resources are too important for the BIGMOM pirates who want to dominate one side. It's not a day or two for Charlotte Linlin and her children to plot North Blue's resources. Charlotte Linlin didn't make an immediate decision. Perospero, what do you think you should do? Perospero replied, let Judge call us for help when the world government attacks North Blue. Brother, is your brain broken? It's good that we don't go to the bottom of the hole, and we have to wait for these scumbags to come to us for help. Smoothie retorted a little excitedly. Charlotte Linlin glared at Smoothie, who closed his mouth wisely, and then we put people in North Blue, just like Andre did at West Blue, to raise the Vinsmokes as our puppets. Perospero's remarks made the eyes of the brothers and sisters in the hall shine brightly. Cracker, who remained silent, asked, but how do you know that Andre won't send someone to help North Blue? Because he is Edward Andre, the Emperor of Evil. He only does things according to his own preferences, and Judge is a wall, and it is a great gift for Andre to not chop up their family in the city and feed them to fish. Chapter 970 Invitation from Andre. Any hero who aspires to world hegemony will not let other forces encroach on his territory, and Vinsmoke Judge is naturally the same. Judge wants to reach heights that no ancestor has ever reached, and bring Vinsmoke to unprecedented brilliance. However, Judge has the ambition to build an empire, but he does not have the corresponding courage. It's just that there is no way to do this. As a hegemon, he doesn't have the combat power that a hegemon should have. If Judge also had peak combat power, he would have been emperor 10 years ago. Therefore, Judge can only step by step, be cautious, and find the best time. Breaking with the world government now is equivalent to betrayal, and the crusade of the world government is only a matter of time. Judge knew that, so he wanted to win over allies who could form an offensive and defensive alliance with him. At first, Judge wanted to control the New Generation League, so that they could not leave Germa 66 and become an on-call foreign aid. It's a pity that the New Generation Alliance is really useless, giving them so much assistance, but they can't even get a Buggy Alliance. In the end, I lost the chance to unite with the Buggy Alliance, and I can only hope for the most powerful Team Zero. But how bad Andre's attitude towards the in-law is, this can be seen from the relationship between the BIGMOM pirates and the Zero Division. Over the years, Andre not only did not benefit the BIGMOM pirates, but from Charlotte Linlin he took a lot of land from his hands. Fortunately, it's not all good news right now. According to her daughter Reiju's account, Makino likes her very much. She not only takes Reiju to play in the city these days, but also introduces her to the wives in the Zero team, as if she is her own. Based on Makino's weight in Andre's heart, Judge only confirmed the marriage this time. At the same time, Judge also told Reiju to take Sabo's heart and let him focus on her, preferably in the shortest possible time. Child. As long as Sabo can do what Andre did to Makino, the Germa 66 Empire will have nothing to worry about. Judge's calculations are not really a secret. The top management of Team Zero is aware of it, and Andre's insight into the world is like a mirror. But Andre never mentioned his thoughts on North Blue, nor did he plan to expand the team anytime soon. Not to mention an outsider, even Liu Yu couldn't figure out what his boss was thinking about. Isn't the boss really not interested in North Blue? Liu Yu was puzzled, but he didn't ask for it, because he was currently on semi-vacation. Taking this opportunity, he wanted to spend time with his wife and daughter. With the news of Sabo's departure from West Blue, the major forces also began to pay attention to the movements of the world government and Team Zero. Needless to say, the world government is actively preparing to attack North Blue at any time. On the other hand, Team Zero still has no idea of returning the main force of West Blue, and there is no new team. They just send people to distribute invitations everywhere and invite all parties to participate in the news of the adopted son's wedding. But the more silent Team Zero is, the more suspicious it is. Sengoku is naturally one of the people who have a heart. He is now the commander-in-chief of the entire army. The newly created First Army and Second Army have begun to take shape. Although they have not yet fought in actual combat, the quality of the soldiers is still good. This new army has a total of 200,000 people, and with Marine's troops, an expeditionary force of more than 300,000 can be assembled at any time. The world government was satisfied with Sengoku's efficiency, but they kept urging Sengoku to make a battle plan as soon as possible to crusade against North Blue and exterminate the Vinsmoke family. Sengoku didn't want to disobey, but Andre didn't respond. Did he really plan to ignore it, or did he secretly reserve a hand? Sengoku doesn't dare to act rashly until he finds out Andre's true intentions. In the past few days, veteran generals such as Kong and he are also studying the expedition plan, returning the route and the landing site of North Blue. At the same time, their biggest concern is the supply of the expeditionary force. If Team Zero cuts off the supplies, the expedition will end up dead at the bottom of the sea. Garp, on the other hand, looked like he had nothing to do with him. He was chewing senbei in his mouth, and there was tea on the table. There were a few more tic-tac-toe on Sengoku's forehead, and he threw fire on Garp again in anger. Everyone is busy, can you be more serious too? Garp wiped his face, and Sengoku's spit star sprayed his face. But Garp is still the same ruffian. What's the use of thinking so much? Why don't you just ask Andre directly? Yeah, Andre sent us an invitation, should we go? He smiled wryly and looked down at the big red invitation on the table. This invitation had been sent to the Marine headquarters yesterday, and it was handed over to Sengoku and others by Kizaru. General Sengoku, Garp, Sora and others were invited on the invitation, and Andre was the one who wrote the invitation. The words were crooked and ugly, and few people could imitate them except Andre himself. Of course, Andre's wedding banquet for his son must be a tribute, and Team Zero has recently robbed chefs everywhere. The food and drinks at the wedding banquet must be delicious. Garp said, swallowing his saliva. Garp, it's not about what to eat at the banquet right now. Sengoku growled at Garp again. Garp lay lazily and muttered, you don't want to eat or drink, you still want to fight Andre. Do you want to refuse Andre's invitation and give him a reason to fight? Andre is careful, you don't give him face, he will definitely make you miserable. Sora was silent for a while, then said, Garp is right, Andre's invitation really has to go. Kong, do you think it's time to go too? He asked in a deep voice. Sora smiled helplessly. At least Andre won't kill people at the wedding banquet, and if there's a chance, we'll just clean up Judge, so that we don't have to make plans for an expedition to North Blue. Sengoku thought for a while and felt that what Kong said made sense, so he nodded, you were right. It's still empty and bad water. The garp thief smiled and slapped his forehead at the same time. By the way, I almost forgot, where is the gift? We can't go empty-handed. Congratulations. Congratulations. Sengoku looked at Sora, Sora looked at Garp. Garp looked at the crane at last. Shouldn't there be a congratulatory gift? Chapter 971, a wedding full of heartbeats and adventures. It is not the first time that Team Zero has issued invitations to all over the world, and the invitations issued in the name of Andre are quite heavy. Unless they are determined to fight to the end with Team Zero, there are not many. Dare not come. It's just that the list of Andre's invitations is a bit complicated. Gorosei, 5 elders of the world government, Dragon, the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Judge of Germa 66, Ellis of Kansas, and the great pirate of the New World. These people are hostile to each other, and the possibility of not picking up after meeting is really low. Therefore, this time to attend the wedding is simply a big adventure to test the heartbeat and courage. Luffy was also invited this time. Although he didn't know Andre's intentions, he still wanted to go and see the world. Coincidentally, Buggy also received an invitation. Therefore, the Buggy Alliance, the Straw Hat Big Fleet and the New Generation Alliance are temporarily in a truce. As Sabo's righteous brother, Kid is expected to go to dinner, so he and Kaido reach a tacit understanding of a temporary truce. And Ace is the same, he has no reason not to come. Kaido also received an invitation, so he also brought the fleet to the meeting, and Charlotte Linlin and Shanks set off almost the same day. For a time, the bigwigs of the major forces on the channel approached the site of Team Zero with gifts and people one after another. Unlike participating in the birthday banquet in Alcalin Bay, this time the major alliances are cautious. After all, no one can guarantee that his hostile forces will attack him in the middle. The most typical is the Gorosei, 5 elders. Although Marine brought more than 100 warships, they are still very vigilant. You go and hang these colored cloths over there. Bring the wine here. Where's the fruit? Haven't the fur's fruit been delivered yet? Where's the band? Let them play music right away. How can a wedding reception be without music? Luyu has been busy since yesterday. As a nobleman, the responsibility of arranging the wedding naturally falls on him. Harold was yawning with his sword on his back, because today he, Mahakan Shiryu of the Rain, will be in charge of the security of the banquet. Be serious, you guys, if something goes wrong today, just wait to be chopped up. Although he was listless and tried his best to be lazy, Harold was very diligent when he called his minions. The 3 great swordsmen of the present were patrolling around the wedding scene. Although the swords were not drawn, the murderous aura of the 3 made some of the guests quite unnatural. Kula Lala. Before the Whitebeards arrived, laughter passed through the crowd and into Sora and Sengoku's ears. I'm very happy to see you guys still alive and well. Whitebeard came over and said something that made Sora and Sengoku twitch the corners of their mouths, smiling wryly. Is this caring and condolences? It's so special. After Luffy entered the water gate with the Straw Hat Gang, he couldn't wait to jump into the port, and greeted Garp, who was eating and drinking from afar. Grandpa. In a corner of the crowd, Andre walked over quietly and said to a man in a cape, Dragon, why don't you go over and say hello to your father and son? Dragon was staring at Gorosei, 5 elders at the moment, and if this wasn't Andre's home, he probably would have done it. The Gorosei, 5 elders are not weak, and they can naturally feel Dragon's hostile gaze. At this moment, the 5 old men looked coldly at Dragon and Andre. Andre patted Dragon's shoulder. Today is my son's wedding, so don't make trouble. If you really want to fight, then have a good fight outside my territory. Andre said this casually, and it seemed to be said to Dragon, but the big guys present knew that this was said to everyone. Charlotte Linlin was sitting in the seat, gulping down the cakes on the table, as if she was here for an ordinary wedding. Andre came over to say hello at this time. Charlotte Linlin put down the pastry, and, Mama, laughed. Andre, congratulations, I brought a little gift, I hope you like it. Perospero took out a jewelry box, which contained a fist-sized sapphire. Under the sunlight, it was dazzling and attracted everyone's attention on the spot. The tears of the sea, the gem set on the scepter of Queen Gallo more than 2,000 years ago. It's so beautiful. Nami's resistance to jewelry was negative, so she immediately trotted behind Sabo and said, "Brother Sabo, give me this gem." "What?" Sabo was talking to Kid about West Blue when he turned his head. "Ha ha ha, Auntie is so polite," Andre said, beckoning to Sabo. As the protagonist of today's wedding, Sabo immediately ran over. Today's Sabo is dressed in a tuxedo, shiny leather shoes, and aristocratic temperament. Andre put his shoulders on Sabo and said, "Come and say hello. It is inevitable that we will meet in the future. Let Aunt get to know you first." A chance to meet. There's a lot of information here. The children who accompanied Charlotte Linlin were all frowning secretly. Could it be that Andre finally planned to expand his territory? Or is he planning to clash with them? "I hope Auntie will take care of you in the future," Sabo said with a smile. Looking at Sabo with a smile on her face, Charlotte Linlin naturally responded with a smile, but she was also thinking about the meaning of Andre's words. After greeting Dragon and Charlotte Linlin, Andre brought Sabo directly to Shanks. "Shanks, you have little news recently. If you didn't come this time, I thought you were dead." Quote. Still that bad joke. However, Shanks was so angry, he asked Draculu to take out the gift that he had prepared in advance. This is the ancient sword he found during his adventure. Although the ancient sword is simple in shape, the sharp sword is cold and cold. The icy cold glow proves that this sword is a treasure in the world. Shanks said, "There is no gift that can be brought out, so this sword is regarded as a gift." "It's okay, just accept it." "Yes, father." Sabo took the ancient sword and then handed it to the maid behind him. "Then you can eat first, and I'll go to entertain the others." Andre left with Sabo and walked near Kaido. There was only a light layer of hair on the top of Kaido's head, and it could be seen that his hair had just been burnt out by Ace. "It's a gift." Kaido was more blunt, and before Andre could speak, he let the gift be carried out. Kaido's gifts are more vulgar, just some ordinary gold and silver jewelry and antiques, but he is not very good at home, and he does not expect him to give any valuable gifts. Chapter 972 Special Guest. Although the undercurrents are turbulent outside Andre's turf, the wedding is now harmonious. Andre's personality and character are known to those who have dealt with him for decades, so these big guys give face. Eat what you need to eat, drink what you need to drink, watch the dancers praise, listen to the band play, no one is causing trouble. Kala Lala, this kind of banquet should be held a few more times, it's so interesting. Whitebeard sat down opposite Sengoku and others, and the big pirates such as Wald, Redfield, Rayleigh, Spark Gaban and others also sat beside him. Although they are hostile to each other, they will fight each other when they meet, but when a group of old guys look at the wrinkles on the faces of their acquaintances and the white hair on their temples, they all feel a little sigh. After fighting all my life, many of my comrades and friends have become bones, and their lives have fallen. Yeah, it's interesting. Garp was a little disappointed. When he looked at Ace, he couldn't help recalling Roger in his mind. Luffy was sitting next to Garp, and at this moment he seemed to be eating and drinking, as if he didn't feel the slightly sentimental atmosphere, but in fact, Luffy's heart was still sensitive, and he seemed to vaguely understand Andre's intentions. Family, friends, enemies, the time flies, the people who can be with you for a lifetime, aren't these three types of people? Chopper found Nami at this time, and her cute appearance immediately aroused the exclamation of the women present. Wow, what a cute little civet cat. Monet, that's not a civet cat, it's obviously a raccoon. Khalifa, Monet, let go of your hands first. Nami, save me. The women had little resistance to cute creatures, and under their competition, Chopper was about to be torn to pieces. The Loon family also wants to play. Chen Shin grabbed Chopper from the crowd with a hug. Bang! With a muffled sound, Chopper was smashed to pieces. Of course, this is just an interlude. Dressed as a Marine general, CP0, who mixed into the wedding scene, didn't pay much attention to Chopper. What they care about is Khalifa and Monet, because they are the actual commanders of the assassination unit of Division 0. Over the years, the assassination unit has launched too many assassinations and espionage operations, which has caused a lot of headaches for the government's secret service, and even CP0 has encountered a lot of trouble, so they took this opportunity to investigate and collect all information. That's my meat, my dessert, don't take it from any of you. Girl with big stomach, you can't be so unreasonable. Xiaoshan also changed into a suit today, but the suit also had 4 stripe epaulets hanging on it. At this time, he was competing with Bonnie for desserts on the table to please Sugar. Age fruit jewelry Bonnie, childlike fruit Sugar, illusion fruit Xiaoshan, and regression fruit Ain are all tricky guys. Sir, there are really enough devil fruit users in Team 0. There are more than 400 devil fruit users at the scene. An agent cautiously approached a CP0 member disguised as Marine Vice Admiral. One member, code-named Shadow, is responsible for gathering intelligence. Continue to observe, to find out the combat strength of Team 0. Team 0's combat power has always been a mystery, because Andre can restore the combat power of Team 0 in a very short time after every battle. This proves that Team 0 has a huge reserve team. Taking advantage of the wedding today, CP0 wanted to reveal the secret of the reserve team of Team 0. Boss, I'm sorry, I'm late. From far away, I heard Tessero's high-pitched and exaggerated voice. Today's Tessero is still dressed up to attend, high-end suits, diamond-studded earrings, 10 fingers are wearing gemstone rings, and even the shoes are inlaid with broken diamonds and going. The local tyrants look like they are. Xiaojun, you're here so late. Do you want to be killed? Andre raised his hand and punched Tessero's mouth heavily, who also cooperated in pity and apologized. I'm sorry boss, the ship has encountered a situation. Sabo, come here. Andre asked Sabo to come to him and pointed at Tessero. Remember this guy, if you don't have money, ask him for it. Although this guy is wicked, he is not short of money. I'll take care of you in the future. Sabo nodded. He knew that Andre was going to take this opportunity today to let him get acquainted with the bigwigs from all sides, and it would be easier to communicate later. Tessero haha isho, then patted Xiang and assured, young Master Sabo, just give me an order if you have something, and I will do it. Okay, find a place to sit. Andre dismissed Tessero, then put on Sabo's shoulder. Remember what I told you when I took you to West Blue? Well, peace, replied Sabo, who certainly wouldn't forget. In fact, he sees everything today from the perspective of a superior. If Team 0 didn't have the power to shock the world, then the wedding scene would have been bloody. But it is precisely because of the strength that this wedding banquet is so happy. Just remember, just work hard. Andre raised his hand, rubbed Sabo's head, and then let Sabo serve the guests. Sabo is already in good shape, and when he greets the bigwigs from all sides, he is neither humble nor arrogant, which makes Andre very satisfied. It was a happy wedding banquet, but the atmosphere suddenly became tense due to the arrival of a group of people. Andre, thank you for your invitation, I'm here as scheduled. It was Fold Yawu who was speaking. He was wearing a suit with gold edging today. He didn't look like a nouveau riche at all. On the contrary, he set off his aristocratic temperament in the world. However, as soon as Fold Yawu appeared, the expressions of the guests present became a little unnatural. Whether it's the world government, the pirates, or the revolutionary army. I can't believe Andre even invited Fold Yao. Dragon frowned. He couldn't see through Andre anymore. What was the point of this wedding? It is impossible to shake hands with the enemy and make peace. Could it be that Andre wanted to? Dragon raised his brows and suddenly thought of a terrible thing. Interesting, Buggy grunted, then continued to eat and drink. Shanks sat next to Buggy. His face was serious, as if he was worried about something. Boss, after today's wedding, I'm afraid a melee will break out. Bambeck whispered beside Shanks. Chapter 973 even better. With the appearance of Foldyawu, the reaction of Gorosei, 5 elders is naturally the most obvious. Because Foldyawu is far more terrifying than Dragon, the world noble who was once supremely respected, knows the secret that can subvert the world. However, this dangerous guy is very powerful, and he is a great swordsman at the peak level, and he is the strongest swordsman in the world. Moreover, he is good at strategy, knows how to win people's hearts, and has many masters under his command. If it weren't for the existence of Andre's old enemy, then Foldyawu would have no one to limit it. How did Andre invite this guy? Aren't they foes who are going to die when they meet? It's his business whether Andre invites him or not. The key is why Foldyawu is going to the banquet. Is he really confident? Impossible, even though they are both peaks. Andre's strength is still better than him, not to mention Whitebeard is there. If the two peaks are shot together, he will definitely die. As Foldyawu approached step by step, the guests present couldn't help but talk. Charlotte Linlin, who pretended to be here for the banquet, didn't eat any more. Her eyes began to stay on Foldyawu, and she thought to herself, is he here to court death? I don't understand, what the hell is this guy doing with Andre? Wald's voice was loud, and he didn't intend to whisper with other people. He directly called him Choppy, in front of Foldyawu's face, and didn't save him face at all. Humph! Foldyau snorted coldly, then glanced at Wald, and walked straight to Andre. You really dare to come? Andre put his arms around Shang and said to Foldyawu jokingly. Foldyawu shook his head lightly, and said calmly, if you dare to invite me, I will dare to come, but it's just a mediocre wedding. If you don't even have the courage, how will you be defeated? Beat me. Ha ha ha, I just admire your shameless spirit after repeated defeats. After Andre finished speaking, he greeted Carlos and asked him to arrange a table for Foldyawu to sit. As Foldyawu was about to turn around and walk towards the position, Andre suddenly raised his hand and blocked him. Andre's actions were too sudden and provocative, which made the atmosphere of the scene suddenly tense. Andre said with a smile, come to the wedding, you can't come empty-handed. How about my saber? Foldyawu took out the sword from his waist. Kang! The blade of the sword was unsheathed, bursting out with a dazzling light. Nice sword, you are worthy of being a famous sword master, there are so many collections. As Andre said, he stretched to grab the sword in Foldyawu's hand. Foldyawu didn't seem to move, but when Andre's hand touched the hilt of the sword, a terrifying aura erupted from the two of them. It's Conqueror Haki. Sizzle. The unseen aura was surging and colliding. In an instant, dark clouds rolled over the city, making it hard to breathe. Luffy, see clearly with your eyes, this is the spirit of a king. Garp spoke to Luffy, who nodded vigorously, looking solemn. Kola Lala, Whitebeard also said to Ace at this time, experience it well, it will help you. Ace nodded vigorously, he would also use Conqueror Haki, but his understanding of Conqueror Haki had always been lacking, and he could not exert the power it should have in actual combat. Look at the sky. Usopp exclaimed and saw that the dark clouds in the sky began to separate, as if they were cut into two pieces by a knife. Zoro said in a deep voice, the sky is divided. It's not as simple as being separated, you look at the clouds on both sides, as if they are trying to crush each other. Everyone raised their heads to observe carefully, and sure enough, the separated clouds began to gather together, like two torrents that were about to disperse each other. Although Conqueror Haki is only one of a million people, the strong people here are all people who stand on the top peak of this world, so there are not many people who know Conqueror Haki. However, there are a few more who want to reach the level of Andre and Foldyawu. In the exclamations of the crowd, the famous swords in the hands of Andre and Foldyawu actually shattered. Unfortunately, this sword is not strong enough, forget it, don't. Andre let go of his hand, and Fold Yawu's face was extremely ugly, because his right hand was cracked and blood was gushing out. Tick-tick. When the blood dripped on the ground, everyone realized that it was not just the Conqueror hockey conflict just now. Andre and Fold Yawu had just thrust their power into each other's swords, and the blade of the sword could not bear it. The conflict between the strengths of the two people finally shattered in the giant force. Of course, breaking the blade with force is nothing. There are many people who can do it, and some people can even smash the sword body with their teeth. But the key is that this sword is a famous sword. Although it is not ranked among the supreme swords, is the quality of the saber that Fold Yawu carries with him. What's even more terrifying is that when the two of them wrestled, most of them didn't notice it, and the floor under the two of them did not collapse, and there was no sign of damage. That is, the scope of the wrestling was controlled in the sword body. How terrifying this was. The power of control law. But in the end, Andre came out on top, and he managed to outscore Fold Yawu in power. Let's toast to these newcomers. Andre raised his hand and raised his glass as if nothing had happened. Congratulations. Fold Yawu still raised the glass with his right hand. At this time, the injury on his right hand had healed, and the wound could not be seen at all. These two monsters. Each of the Gorosei, 5 elders, has a fierce look in their eyes. Compared to eradicating dragon, killing Fold Yawu is the primary goal. The wedding was pushed to a climax when Sabo, Koala and Reiju thanked the guests. At this time, Andre added, "Since everyone had a good time, the wedding banquet will be held for 10 days and 10 nights. I hope everyone has a good time." A 10-day wedding reception. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of most of the guests suddenly changed. Because the 10-day wedding banquet was enough for the various forces to dispatch troops and plan a war. Dragon squinted his eyes and said secretly, "I guessed right, Andre, the bad guy, really wants to take this opportunity to provoke a war on all sides." Chapter 974 Disturb the situation. Night. Sabo is naturally busy with what the groom has to do, while Andre calls Kid alone, and at the same time has people block the city, forcibly keep the guests, and keep them from leaving. Even Brad Mantley was arrested. Secretly wears the Seastone handcuffs. Although Whitebeard didn't know what Andre wanted to do, he still supported Andre, so he sent someone to help seal the city. Of the two peaks, the bosses from all parties did not resist on the spot, but cooperated and moved into the arranged post house. Kid also had some doubts about Andre's arrangements during the day, so he just asked. But without waiting for Kid to speak, Andre took the initiative to mention the day's affairs. "It's going to be a fight, and you are ready. This fight will be a good opportunity to hone your skills." Andre's words confirmed Kid's conjecture, but he was still confused. "Master, isn't your main force always staying in West Blue? If a large-scale war breaks out, what will happen to the situation in West Blue?" Kid's strategic vision is still there. West Blue is very important to the Zero team, and it is an important arms production base, so the stability of West Blue is very important. If you want to maintain the current situation in a chaotic world, you need war to maintain the balance of forces on all sides. Balance. I don't quite understand what Master said. To put it simply, instead of letting them develop in the dark, it's better to push everything on the table, at least everyone can see it, and it's more disturbing to sneak up on small moves. Do you understand? But in this case, the main force must be brought back to fight. After the main force is withdrawn, what will happen to West Blue's situation? Andre's explanation made Kid stunned, but he was still worried about West Blue's problems, because from the conversation with Sabo during the day, West Blue was still in an unstable situation, despite the bloody suppression by Team Zero, but the root causes of cholera have not been completely eradicated. And those rebel leaders retreated into the mountains to recuperate, and would come out to fight back at any time. No matter how chaotic West Blue is, it will not go anywhere. Even if the rebels fight back, they will not be able to remove Ellis from power in a short time. As long as Ellis is still there and the Kansas Empire is not destroyed, then it will be fine. Andre's words have made it clear that he helped Kansas maintain its rule, but actually saw Kansas as a puppet. However, a stable Kansas is not what Andre wants, because after the war, Kansas does not need to rely on the power of the Zero Division, which is naturally not a good thing for the Zero Division. Master, is this what you told me about Yanku's self-respect? Kid remembered some of the political tactics Andre had told him before. For example, he didn't understand why South Blue's army would stand still and confront the Revolutionary Army. Yes, if Kansas can't be separated from us, only if they rely on us, then we can get the best interest in West Blue. Andre said, and pointed his finger to North Blue. I plan to provoke here. The war will not allow Judge to get his wish, let alone Charlotte Linlin to follow our example and encroach on North Blue, and at the same time will not allow the world government to regain control of North Blue. Quote. Kid asked suspiciously, then why not just kill Charlotte Linlin? Although Charlotte Linlin is Kid's mother-in-law, Kid doesn't care about this relationship. Fighting with heaven, fighting with earth, fighting with people is endless fun, hee. Andre chuckled, patted Kid on the shoulder and said, if you get to my level, if you don't know how to have some fun, you'll be boring and just destroy the world. Is it really that exaggerated? Kid didn't understand the loneliness of Peak, let alone Andre's thoughts. Days without goals. You don't understand, Andre sighed and said no more. After all, Kid still has a lot of goals to surpass, and there are mountains that he can cross, but what about him? Can only hope that one day someone can challenge him. Kid doesn't say more. Maybe he is too far from his master to understand him, but he believes that one day, he will reach that level. Damn Andre, is he really going to start a war? Sengoku was furious, and since Andre announced that the wedding would last 10 days, he knew that Andre was going to trigger the melee again, which would disrupt the stable situation. The Gorosei 5 elders don't care so much at the moment, they have spoken, and Sengoku will immediately call up the army to cross the Red Land. Of this battle is full Yawu, followed by Judge and Dragon. Naturally, Dragon will not miss the opportunity to kill the Gorosei 5 elders. As long as Gorosei 5 elders die, the world government will be leaderless, which will be of great help to the success of the revolution. Therefore, Dragon has made the Revolutionary Army cadres who are walking on the Great Route to start gathering troops and go to Andre's territory. Judge also realized the danger, although he didn't expect Andre to be so bad, but things had already happened, and he needed to organize an army as soon as possible to rescue him. If it was a little slower, he wouldn't be able to return to North Blue. Andre, the bad guy, trying to weaken the power of the parties. Or maybe just have some fun. Folviao also contacted Ayadala that night and asked him to organize an army within 10 days and go to North Blue. He's a smart guy, and he knows Andre's big fight is to make it impossible for all parties. Therefore, he has to preemptively make arrangements to obtain the maximum benefit. Charlotte Linlin gathered her accompanying children that night and started a family meeting in the inn arranged by Andre. Brother, didn't you promise that Andre wouldn't shoot? Look at it now. Brother, I said that we should start earlier, and now Andre is one step ahead. Both Katakuri and Smoothie spoke out against Perospero. Perospero didn't expect Andre to be uncharacteristically. Logically speaking, the current Zero team should not have made such a big move. Charlotte Linlin is still relatively rational. She didn't scold Perospero. Enough, it's useless to say these words now. How to solve the problem at hand is the key. Perospero said, Mom, let's go to Shanks now and join forces with him. Maybe there's a chance. Smoothie's voice suddenly rose, and she said sharply, now go to Shanks to join forces. Big brother, are you stupid? Don't forget, we are still on Andre's territory. Chapter 975 The Legion of Ability. Inside and outside the city, a sense of unease rose and spread, and even Wald and Redfield were confused. Because even if there is going to be a war, you must tell them in advance, so that everyone has a mental preparation, and can arrange in advance. But now that the war is going to start, there is no time for people to prepare. Therefore, the two of them came to Andre together in the middle of the night. At this time, Andre was holding an internal meeting of Team Zero, and all the cadres spontaneously gathered together. The focus of this discussion is how to create several useful teams in a short period of time to make up for the absence of the main team. Although the Zero team has accumulated a large number of Devil Fruit ability people in the city, but how much combat power can these people have? To tell the truth, all the seats in the room are not sure. After all, these people are all reservists and have not experienced actual combat, so who knows how much combat effectiveness they can exert. After some discussion, Lu Yu finally couldn't help but ask, "Boss, how many teams do you plan to create?" Andre said, "My plan is to expand 2 squads. 2 teams. 2 teams. 2 teams." Not only Lu Yu, but even Carlos and Harold exclaimed. Andre asked disapprovingly, "Yeah, what's wrong with adding 2 new squads?" "Boss, will these 2 teams be too few?" "Yeah, we've got 4 teams in the main force we've been sent to West Blue. 2 new teams are simply not enough." Carlos and others agreed. After all, they all agreed that the battle strength of the main team and other combat teams was very different. One main team could defeat 2 ordinary teams, or even more. So what role can the 2 new teams play? Before the main team rushes back, it will not be able to deter and control the battlefield at all. And to put it in an ugly way, the combat power of these 2 new teams may not be able to match the fleet under the Ant. However, what Andre said next was jaw-dropping. "How can it not be enough? I plan to use pure ability people to form these 2 teams." As soon as Andre said this, all the seats in the room opened their mouths. "We have hoarded a lot of devil fruits and devil fruit abilities, and now is the time to use them." Andre has long thought about it. Although these rice bugs living in the city have not experienced actual combat, the devil fruit ability users themselves have advantages. Ask Kaido's group of beasts, but they are only zone-capable people with more than 100 people. Team Zero has accumulated a large number of devil fruit ability users and devil fruits over the years, and they can easily form a huge army of pure ability users. After Carlos and the others reacted, they all swallowed and asked, "But who will command these 2 teams?" "Yes, who will command it?" To be honest, these 2 squads are too tempting. Carlos and others are all interested. After all, not everyone can command such a large number of capable people. "I'm going to." Andre's eyes swept across the faces of Carlos. Although Ruka, Shadow, Barbarossa and others were a little disappointed, they also knew that such an elite legion would definitely not be given to them to command. "I'm going to." Andre deliberately pulled a long note, making Carlos and others look forward to it even more. "Boss, leave it to me." "Nympho, what are you doing to join in the fun?" "I am also capable." In a commotion, Andre announced the answer. "I intend to direct myself." As soon as Andre finished speaking, he heard the sound of dong dong dong, and saw Carlos and the others fell to the ground speechlessly. The devil fruit was taken out of the warehouse, and at the same time, the capable person in the city was notified to report and register outside the palace. These things were too noisy to be concealed at all, and Andre did not intend to conceal it. So everyone in the inn knew about Andre's big move. Sengoku's face is like eating a fly. The Gorosei 5 elders were pale and unable to sleep. A team composed of capable people, and 2 teams in one breath. Charlotte Linlin knew that the team of the Zero team was prepared, and took the medical team with the smallest number as a template, and the Zero team medical team had 197 people. That is to say, the total number of the 2 new teams created by Team Zero this time will not be less than 400 people. 400 devil fruit powers. Team Zero actually has so many devil fruit abilities. Although there had been speculation about Andre's background, Charlotte Linlin was still shocked when the truth was exposed. Because the BIGMOM pirate group has only about 100 capable people so far. And Team Zero was able to form a capable army of more than 400 people in a short period of time, and these 400 people were still a reserve team. When a large number of devil fruits were packed and the boxes were transported to the palace, Wald was dumbfounded. Looking at the devil fruits of different colors and shapes, he couldn't help but marvel at the stains and sighed at the same time. Said, "Andre, how many places did you rob? The number of collections is amazing." "You forgot, this guy liked to loot the world the most when he was young. He has sacked many kingdoms and pirate groups." Redfield was speechless when he looked at the pile of devil fruits like a hill. The number in front of him clearly exceeded 100 pieces. Andre laughed. "I just like to collect, and then they all thought I liked these things, so they took this as a tribute. If Kaido sees so many zone devil fruits. Hee, I'm looking forward to his expression." Wald rubbed his hands together, then burst out laughing. "Choose elites from each team, as well as some young people on the periphery, and distribute these devil fruits." Andre finished speaking, and at the same time let people sort and count the devil fruits for easy selection. At this moment, Domino trotted over. Her face was a little flustered. "Emperor, Kaido hit the water gate, and now he was blocked by Mihawk and Captain Shiryu. The wedding isn't over yet. He wants to go." Andre wanted to go there in person, but after thinking about it, he asked Kid to go, and at the same time, he had to inform Sabo, so that he would also show it in front of the bigwigs. Strength. Chapter 976 Watch the Battle. The water gate of Jucheng is actually a floating island toad at the tail of the giant tortoise, so the battle at the water gate does not affect the main body of Jucheng. However, Kaido is very excited to fight. Even in the face of the two major swordsmen in the world, he is not afraid. Mihawk and Shiryu of the Rain also expressed their helplessness. Their attack could not cause fatal damage to Kaido, and being hit by Kaido's fist or the blowing of the fist, it was a burst of pain. This monster. Mihawk was furious, and if he hadn't been concerned about the construction of Watergate, he would have done his best to let Kaido know how sharp the black knife was. "We can't let him be so mad, this is our territory." Shiryu of the Rain flipped his wrist at this moment, and the second-generation ghost flipped, and cut Kaido's tendon with one knife. "Get Whitebeard and Andre out." Kaido has no interest in Mihawk and Shiryu of the Rain at all. His purpose of attacking the Watergate is not to escape, but to challenge Whitebeard and Andre, that's all. Kaido's words are speechless. You must know that he has not lost to Andre and Whitebeard once, but he has been defeated and fought repeatedly, and the spirit of death is rare in the world. Kaido. At this time, Kid rushed over from the pontoon on the main island, and his arms were now assembled with metal arms, shattering Mountain Fist. Boom! With a loud bang, Kaido's body visibly shook. "Little devil, you've made a lot of progress." Kaido turned his head and grinned, staring at Kid. Dragon Claw Fist, Arlong slaps the sea. But without waiting for Kid to make another move, Sabo has already arrived. As soon as he arrived, Sabo launched an attack. Dragon Claw Fist has a strong destructive power, and with Andre's shocking, profound meaning, it adds to its lethality. A Dragon Claw Fist hit Kaido's arm, slashing out 5 deep bloodstains. It's amazing. As expected of the young Master Sabo, he can actually hurt Kaido. Guarding the water gate are Bonnie's men. These people have never been on the real battlefield, so their knowledge is limited. They just think that Sabo who can cause damage to Kaido is the strongest. After all, Mihawk and Shiryu of the Rain, plus Kid 3, did not traumatize Kaido. Although he is a layman watching the excitement, Sabo was able to comprehend the characteristics of crack from Andre's shocking profound meaning, and transform a cutting characteristic into his own. This talent is indeed far above Kid. Because Andre also taught Kid the profound meaning of breaking and shaking, but Kid just realized the essence of shattering. "Is it Sabo? I didn't expect you to be such a big surprise for me." Kaido looked down at the 5 bloodstains on his arm. Although the bloodstains were deep, he could heal quickly, but Sabo could cause trauma to him, which he really did not expect. It seems that a simple dragon claw fist is very difficult to beat him. Sabo didn't want to be complacent and made that bloodstain. For Kaido, it was like scratching a kitten. If you want to be deadly, you need to hit the key points, but where is the key point of Kaido? Sabo is not confident that he can find out Kaido's key points in a short time, so he knows that he is not Kaido's opponent either. Looking at Sabo and Kaido fighting together again below, Wald, who was standing on the tower, couldn't help but tease, "Andre, Kaido has really become your sandbag." Hee, that's his point. Andre didn't deny it. Wald asked with a smile, "But let the two little devils face Kaido alone, aren't you afraid they will get hurt? After all, one of them is just married." Andre shook his head lightly, "Dad will take action. He just happens to be bored, so let him play for a while." "Oh, is Whitebeard here to join in the fun? Where is it?" Wald looked around subconsciously. At the water gate at this time, a lot of people had gathered, including the guests who came out of the inn to join in the fun. The Gorosei 5 elders stood in a row, eyes like torches, and behind them, Sengoku and others gathered to watch. Charlotte Linlin and Shanks stood together, whispering from time to time, commenting on Sabo and Kid. Buggy floated in the sky, looking at the warring sides, his eyes lit up. Folgyawu stood alone at the top of a house, with a new saber hanging from his waist, but his eyes stayed in Andre's direction at this time, as if he was facing the fight at Watergate. No interest. The most exciting one is the Straw Hats, because both sides of the battle are the top masters in this world. Zoro was even more excited when he saw it, and could not wait to draw his knife immediately to find Mihawk and Shiryu of the Rain to compete. Luffy clenched his fists and remained silent, but he exuded a high-pitched fighting intent. Fighting in blood and fighting against each other on the battlefield is always the most romantic thing for men. However, after looking for a long time, Wald still did not see Whitebeard. Wald asked, "Andre, are you sure Whitebeard is around?" "Well, under that house." Andre waved his hand, pointing to a tall building on the main island. "There." Wald's eyes widened. "Did you?" Hiss, _. Wald took a deep breath. He understood that Andre was simply sensing with observation haki, and Whitebeard was more than 3 kilometers away from them. Such a long distance, you can actually hear it. Could this observation haki already cover the main island? Redfield said at this point, "Andre, you've completely overtaken Whitebeard now. I haven't fought with Dad, but if you do your best, you can win." Andre smiled lightly. Can win. Those simple words have silenced Wald and Redfield. Although they all knew that Andre was strong, they didn't expect Andre to be so strong. Keep watching, tonight is wonderful. You look at the expressions of Gorosei, 5 elders, it's like eating shi, ha ha ha. Andre laughed loudly at Gorosei, 5 elders without hesitation. At this point the Gorosei, 5 elders turned their heads, looking in the direction of the palace. It's not easy for these 5 old guys. Redfield squinted and said in a deep voice. Andre doesn't deny it either. If it's one-on-one, one for 10 minutes, if 5 add up and fight for their lives together, then they should be able to fight me 55 to 50. Quote. Are those 5 old guys that strong? Wald and Redfield asked in astonishment. Chapter 977 The Consciousness of the Old Guy. Fighting alone and fighting with 12 are completely two concepts. Although Andre has only experienced the single combat power of Gorosei, 5 elders, he can roughly estimate the combat power of the other 4, which should be similar to the bald old man with glasses, and the 5 old men must have their own secret skills. The strength displayed is definitely not low. Therefore, Andre's positioning for the 5 old men is very high. As for the outcome of life and death, you still have to fight it before you know it. It is meaningless to just talk about it. It's just that the Gorosei, 5 elders are very smart. They are not in a hurry to shoot themselves. They are always behind the scenes, or second line. Because in this way, they can be undefeated and maintain the final majesty of the world government, which is the same as not gambling to win. If the Gorosei, 5 elders also lose to Andre, the majesty of the world government will be completely lost. Andre has never had the chance to compete with the Gorosei, 5 elders, because every time he fights, there are many opponents who take the initiative to find him. It is precisely because one side avoided the war and the other side did not have a chance to fight, which led to the delay in a complete conflict between the two sides. This moment, Sabo and Kid have been playing with Kaido for more than half an hour, and the frequency of attack and defense of the three is very high. Fortunately, the buildings around the water gate are quite strong, otherwise the water gate would have been shattered after fighting for so long. Whitebeard, who had been watching the game silently, suddenly said, "Ace, you can try it too, let me see your recent progress." "Yes, Dad," Ace nodded vigorously. Since getting Andre's guidance, his strength has improved tremendously. Fire Fist. An ultra-long-range Fire Fist blasted. Not only was there the heat of the flames, but the Fire Fist also carried a terrifying punch that knocked Kaido back with one punch. "Interesting, here's another one." Kaido patted the spark in Chang's mouth with a fierce look in his eyes. "But none of you three are my opponents, so let's get Whitebeard and Andre out." "Ha ha," Ace sneered at Isho, and immediately spread his hands, and 2 flames spewed out from his palms. "I don't need Dad to shoot, I'll be enough to take care of you." "Ace, it's none of your business here." At this time, Sabo suddenly raised his hand and stopped in front of Ace. "That's right, the master asked Sabo and me to deal with Kaido." Kid also took 2 steps forward, blocking Ace's vision with his body. "You 3 little devils underestimate me too much." "Ah." Kaido suddenly became furious and growled as if he felt slighted. Boom! The 2 fists slammed on the ground, and the entire water gate made a creaking sound. Marco asked worriedly, "Dad, Kaido seems to be angry, is it okay to ignore it?" "Kula-la-la. Give more opportunities to young people," Whitebeard said with a smile, but his eyes lingered on Ace, Sabo, and Kid, with admiration and relief in his eyes. At this moment, Garp suddenly opened his mouth and said to Luffy, "Luffy, you should try too." "Me?" Luffy asked, raising a finger to his nose. Garp nodded. "Well, don't let Andre underestimate our family." "Then I'll go." Luffy waved his arm, then hurried to the water gate. Zoro, Sanji, Usopp and others also followed, ready to help at any time. Looking at the back of the group of young people, Sengoku said in a reproachful tone, "Garp, why did you let Luffy cause trouble? Don't you think tonight is not enough trouble? If you can't control it, there will be a melee tonight." Unlike in the past, this time Garp didn't pretend to be stupid, but said very seriously, "We are all old, if this generation of young people can't grow up, who else can beat Andre?" At this time, Sora also opened his mouth. "Yes, Andre's hegemony has lasted for too long. Someone must defeat him, otherwise the troubled times will not end." The conversation of Garp and others naturally could not escape the ears of Gorosei, 5 elders, but Gorosei, 5 elders did not speak this time, and seemed to acquiesce to the decision of Garp and others. "Ace, get out of the way, this big guy will let me down." After Luffy finished speaking, he stretched, extended his arms, grabbed the city wall of Watergate directly, and jumped over. "You keep saying that you beat me down, are you 4 brats?" Kaido clenched his fists tightly, his nostrils were constantly blowing rough air, his muscles were swollen, and it was difficult to conceal the terrible power in his body. "Ah! Ah!" Luffy and Ace roared at the same time, unleashing their own conqueror haki to compete with Kaido. The qualifications of a king. Chinjao expressed disdain. "HMPH, they are just 2 little devils. The king who lost to Andre and Whitebeard is like a Crucian carp crossing the river." Compared to Luffy and Ace, who own conqueror haki, Kid and Sabo were robbed of the limelight. However, they didn't want to give in to others, they roared one after another, and the 2 rushed towards Kaido one by one. Kaido, who has already become fierce, has no chance of showing mercy. However, the offensive of the 4 is quite fierce, which proves that the 4 have made great progress during this period of time. The more Gorosei, 5 elders look, the worse they look, because these 4 young people with outstanding potential and strength are the younger generation of pirates. On the other hand, on the side of the world government, there is simply no young man who can match it. There are 4 young people with such potential and strength. Andre is really amazing. Rayleigh sighed secretly. He recalled the conversation with Andre at the beginning, and Andre showed his original intention and determination to build a troubled world. Heroes emerge in troubled times, is the person Andre waited for among these 4. Hey, Rayleigh shook his head. Spark Gabon next to him sneered. Rayleigh, don't keep sighing, it will get old fast. Rayleigh smiled bitterly. You and I are old, and we no longer need us in this era. Spark Gabon snorted softly, although he had to obey the old man, but he did not admit that he was too old to use a knife. At least I will help Roger's son reach the top of One Piece, King of Pirates. You're coming back? Rayleigh asked in surprise. Spark Gabon pressed the knife with one hand. For the sake of our captain, I will do my best at the end, and instead of dying at home, it is better to be crazy at the end. What do you think? Is this what you're up to? Rayleigh was silent. Chapter 978 Temporary Ally. With a loud bang, Kaido's body fell straight to the ground. Kid and Sabo get ahead of Ace and Luffy and knock Kaido to the ground. This news naturally made Team Zero and the Avengers cheer continuously. Well, Andre nodded, then picked up the megaphone. Tonight's warm-up is over. If anyone wants to make trouble, let me accompany you next. Andre has already made his statement, and the big guys watching the battle turned around and went back to the inn to sleep. After all, they are different from Kaido, and it's okay to single out Andre. It's purely looking for abuse. But the Gorosei, 5 elders were a different idea. None of them were going to sleep tonight. In the room, the 5 old guys asked the guards to guard the intersections to keep outsiders from approaching, and then began to talk in secret. Wearing a dark blue suit, the old man with long straight hair said with a serious face, "It seems that the devil fruit must be used to make Andre disappear from this world." "Yes, it's like 800 years ago," the old man with the mustache echoed. "But will Tenryubito agree? If the devil fruit is regenerated and finally falls into the hands of the ambitious, it will definitely be a subversive existence." The bald old man with glasses frowned. "Among Tenryubito, there is no master who can match Andre. This guy is really too powerful, and now he has the power to subvert the world on the main island. I'll talk to them about whether Tenryubito agrees or not. Since everyone thinks so, I have no opinion." Seeing Andre's deterrent power, the Gorosei, 5 elders immediately passed this simple and deliberate meeting tonight. Sabo came back. Andre asked, "How are you feeling?" Sabo thought Andre was referring to the fight with Kaido, and replied, "Kaido is very strong. If you don't use up his physical strength, it's a bit difficult to beat him." Andre shook his head and said, "I'm not talking about Kaido, I'm talking about Ace and Luffy." "Ace and Luffy," Sabo repeated. "Are you confident to beat both of them?" Andre asked. "Beat them?" Sabo was silent for a moment, then said to Andre, "If it's just Ace, maybe. Luffy, he seems to have an unspeakable explosiveness about him that's surprising." Andre squinted and smiled. "Did you feel it too?" Sabo asked in amazement. "Father, have you seen it long ago? If you want to face him in the future, you will be beaten to the death. Don't show mercy, understand?" Andre's words shocked Sabo. "Some things, you will understand later. Go and rest." Andre didn't explain much, just patted Sabo on the shoulder and asked him to go back to accompany his 2 wives. Shortly after Sabo left, Whitebeard also came to Andre. Andre brought the wine and the big exaggerated wine glass, filled the wine glass, and said, "Dad, these young people I chose are not bad." "Kala Lala," Whitebeard laughed, looking at the bright stars in the night sky. "There is no moon tonight." Andre took a sip of wine and said with a chuckle, "If the moon is out, these stars won't be able to shine." Whitebeard's eyes were kind and he said slowly, "You have worked hard all these years, and your burden is too heavy. This is my vow back then, a vow that must be fulfilled, Andrei said, pouring wine into the glass. The two father and son sat side by side, and Miyu was quietly tasting wine under the starlight, blowing the cool breeze. The 10-day wedding banquet was over, and battleships had already gathered outside the site of Team Zero, and a war was about to break out. Okay, the wedding is over. Andrei put down the glass and ordered the water gate to open. At this time, it was quiet outside the water gate, and the guests present were not in a hurry to leave. They were all waiting for the first person to get up and leave. Everyone in the room knew that leaving Andrei's home meant being attacked. Judge's eyes lingered on Gorosei, 5 elders and Charlotte Linlin and others. He knew that these two groups were most likely to attack him, and his own strength was not very good. If he was attacked, he would definitely die. So he won't be the first to leave. Are all our people here? Dragon asked the bear beside him. Well, Ivankov is already waiting outside, ready to keep the government's lackeys at bay, replied the bear. Dragon thought for a while and said in a low voice, when necessary, you can join forces with Yawu to eliminate the Gorosei, 5 elders first. Fold Yawu also turned his attention to Dragon at this time. Dragon nodded at him. It seems that Yawu and Dragon have colluded. Gorosei, 5 elders, faces were not very natural. After all, Andrei's hometown was a long way from the border. If Fold Yawu and Dragon joined forces, it would still pose a certain threat to them. At this time, Shanks had already brought someone to sit next to Charlotte Linlin. It seemed that the two of them had secretly talked over the past few days. Kaido is sitting alone, and he doesn't seem to have any plans to join forces with others. Buggy's eyes rolled, as if still choosing. Garp said, Luffy, you'll be with me later. No, Grandpa, I want to go back with them, we came together. Luffy pointed to Resta over there. When Resta saw Luffy coming towards him, she was so moved that she almost cried. Luffy, let's go. At this time, Fold Yawu got up and walked to Luffy's side, smiling at the Gorosei, 5 elders side. Damn, there is already a lot of combat power around Yawu. Sengoku frowned deeply, and the situation in front of him was not optimistic. Fold Yawu, Dragon, Luffy, and Resta joined forces. Charlotte Linlin and Shanks are also temporarily united. Judge's expression suddenly tightened. The current situation is not good for him. If he takes a wrong step, he will be buried when he exits the water gate. Shanks, let's go back together. At this moment, Buggy suddenly stood up and walked beside Shanks seemingly casually. Charlotte Linlin, Shanks, and a Buggy. The three are united. Andrei was still drinking with a smile, but when he saw the current situation, he smiled and said to Sabo, you can join in the fun too. As for your position, I won't interfere. Yes. Sabo got up now. Judge was overjoyed, thinking that his son-in-law would be by his side. But when Sabo sat down next to Kid, his heart sank. Chapter 979 Temporarily return to youth and return to the peak of personal life. The purpose of this temporary alliance is to give everyone here a little more security when they leave Andrei's residence. It's just that everyone here knows that the real threat to safety is Andrei and Whitebeard. Both Whitebeard and Andrei's strengths have reached the pinnacle of this world. If they join forces to target a certain person or an alliance, it will naturally be a devastating threat. But neither Whitebeard nor Andrei seem to be planning to make a move. Do you guys want to finish dinner here before leaving? Andrei had ordered the eviction. After Andrei's eviction order was issued, Fold Yawu got up first. Fold Yawu was about to leave. Gorosei, 5 elders and Sengoku were all focused. Dragon also stood up at this time, Shang and several other Revolutionary Army cadres who were accompanying him behind him. Judge, when do you want to leave? Andrei asked the restless Judge Tilda with a smile. Judge asked nervously, you wouldn't just watch me get killed, would you? Andrei smiled and said, if I were you, then I might have dinner before leaving, or spend more time with my daughter, what do you think? Judge was stunned for a moment, then surprised. He already understood what Andre meant. You mean, today's fight has nothing to do with me? Ha ha. Andre chuckled, not giving Judge a clear answer. Judge's expression froze, and he couldn't guess what Andre was thinking. If Andre really wanted to save him, he should have given him a clear answer, but Andre gave him a riddle. Dad, we can't fully trust Andre. Let's take this opportunity to get out of here. Iggy whispered in Judge's ear. Big brother is right, we can't pin our hopes on Andre. That kid Sabo doesn't agree with us, so it's better to go back to North Blue earlier. Youngji also expressed his stance at this time. Our fleet is outside, go back to North Blue early, and we can't let other forces come in. When Niji said this, his eyes were wandering on Foldyawu, Charlotte Linlin and others. Judge didn't understand the suggestions of several sons, but he was worried that he would be killed by various forces as soon as he left Watergate. Foldyawu has always had the idea of embezzling North Blue. The world government also wants to take back North Blue, and Charlotte Linlin is also eyeing North Blue. Judge knew he couldn't hesitate any longer. If he hesitated, there would be nothing left. Let's go. Judge also got up and left. Watching people go to the empty venue, Andre sighed softly. Hey, how stupid it is to fight for power and power for the sake of fame and fortune. Wald asked, Andre, are we going to do it too? Andre spread his hands and replied, let them fight for a while, isn't it a pleasure to watch them bite each other? Whitebeard stood up. If that's the case, let's go watch the game too. Foldyow's flagship Conqueror slowly sailed out. Behind the Conqueror was Luffy's Sunshine, followed by Resta's Duke. The three ships stopped more than 10 nautical miles away from the Watergate. Foldyawu stood alone on the bow of the ship, holding two swords in both hands, with awe. On the Sunshine, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, Brook, and Chopper were waiting. Resta brought two cronies and was ready to fight. At this time, the ships of the world government and marine also sailed out of the Watergate. The Gorosei 5 elders are standing on the deck with Sengoku, Garp, Sora, Suru, and Kizaru behind him. Before the two sides could fight, Shang had already started the battle. I saw him standing on the bow of the ship, raised his hand, and shot a powerful shock wave, which suddenly shocked the waves hundreds of meters high and tens of thousands of tons. The waves were overwhelming the boat that Gorosei, 5 elders and Sengoku were on, and it seemed that they wanted to use this unexpected blow to bury the boat into the sea. Humph! At this time, Sengoku instantly transformed into a giant Buddha, and also blasted out a golden shock wave. Boom! The waves that were about to hit the ship suddenly shattered. I can't believe they've already started a fight. Charlotte Linlin, Shanks, and Buggy watched the game silently, with no intention of intervening. After all, the goal of the three is not the world government and marine, nor Foldyawu, but Judge who masters North Blue's resources. Judge's boat was parked behind the Watergate, and when he saw the fierce battle outside, he immediately flinched. Hey, can you leave? I have to close the door. Bonnie urged Judge impatiently. Wait. Judge picked up the handkerchief and wiped the sweat. Just kidding, isn't it courting death to go out at this time? The world government, like Andre, is the source of pain for the world. As long as they exist, the world will continue to sink into purgatory. Foldyawu declared the 7 deadly sins of the world government with awe-inspiring righteousness. Although the bosses present scoffed at his words, because only fools would believe it, Luffy believed it. Luffy has seen too much along the way, not only the tyranny of Andre, but also the ruthless oppression of the world government, so he also wants to overthrow the world government. Garp, it looks like your grandson is going to join the rebel party. The old bald man with glasses opened his mouth to remind Garp. Leave Luffy to me, Garp said solemnly. What about your son? Garp clenched his fists and said, he gave it to me too. Hope you don't let us down. The Gorosei 5 elders then took a syringe out of his arms and handed it to Garp. Body in this syringe is somewhat similar to the potential potion of the assassination team. It is also produced by the scientific army. It is the first product of Vegapunk. It can restore a youthful body in a short period of time. Of course, the side effects are very serious. I understand how to do it. Garp used the potion directly. As long as his body regained its youth, it would be no problem to suppress Luffy and Dragon. Go ahead and clean up these rebellions. With the order of Gorosei, 5 elders, Garp silently inserted the needle into the neck vein. Boom. The heart swelled in an instant. Then Garp's whole body swelled with sexy knots, and the violent blue veins were like ivy, wrap around the muscles of the whole body. Ah! With a roar, Garp's suit exploded, turning into pieces of cloth, scattered in the air. Chapter 980 Shira Flow. Temporarily obtained young Garp. The whole body exudes amazing momentum. Kizaru was behind him and felt the most deeply, and his pupils Vivi contracted at this time, because he knew how strong Garp was when he was young. Garp the Fist, without the power of the Devil Fruit, has achieved a legendary name, and has driven Roger into a corner many times. The bear's face changed slightly, and then he said to Dragon, "It seems that things have gotten worse. I can only bite the bullet." Dragon smiled wryly. Because of the relationship between father and son, he was reluctant to confront Garp head-on all these years, but now he can't escape. The bear grabbed Dragon, who was about to face Garp. "Leave it to me, and you will deal with the Gorosei, 5 elders." Dragon glanced at the bear, then nodded silently. "Then please." "Yeah," Shang replied firmly. "Luffy, you deal with Sengoku. Resta, you deal with Sora. I'll deal with Gorosei, 5 elders." Fullyawu finished speaking. He jumped up. However, before he could get close, 2 laser beams shot towards his mouth. Kizaru. Fullyawu crossed his swords and split the 2 laser beams. At this time, Kizaru jumped into the sky and pointed at Fullyawu with one finger. "I'll be your opponent. Are you qualified?" Fullyawu shook his head, and then the double swords danced wildly. The swords were vertical, horizontal, and the swords were pressing towards Kizaru's vital points. Although Kizaru couldn't beat Fullyawu, his evasion ability was still excellent. With the speed advantage of Glitter Fruit, he could not only dodge slashes calmly, but also find opportunities to counterattack. For a while, Fullyawu and Kizaru in the air also had a hard battle. Seeing that Kizaru successfully held off Fullyawu, Gorosei, 5 elders, who was about to shoot, also chose to watch from the sidelines and did not rush to shoot. However, the Straw Hats also rushed up at this time. Luffy pounces directly on Gorosei, 5 elders. Sengoku slashed directly in front of Gorosei, 5 elders and punched Luffy back. And Zoro also attacked at this time, but their attacks were blocked by Crane. Don't underestimate the old woman. Under the astonished eyes of Sanji and Zoro, Suru turned his wrists directly, as if tossing clothes, and slammed Sanji and Zoro to the ground. Bang! Bang! With 2 loud bangs, Sanji and Zoro were smashed to pieces. "Old lady, I'm sorry." Then Usopp raised his sniper rifle, which was loaded with seastone bullets. Bang! A gunshot rang out, and the bullet went straight to Crane's shoulder. Crane turned sideways to dodge, but Sanji jumped up at this time, and the moment he got up, he used the Devil's Foot to continuously kick Crane's vitals. Young people, respect the old. Suru also gathered armament hockey and blocked Sanji's quick kicks with one hand. All blocked. Sanji's pupils dilated, secretly shocked by Crane's strength. At this time, Zoro directly bypassed the Crane. In his opinion, it was really a shame to fight an old woman, or 3-on-1, so he went straight to the bald old man with glasses in Gorosei, 5 elders. Since they are all swordsmen, let's use the sword to decide the outcome. 3 swords, 3,000 worlds. Zoro was about to strike when he saw the bald old man with glasses smiling at him. Was he underestimated? Zoro was furious, and fired faster. 3 generations of ghosts. Still too young and too confident. The bald old man with glasses just pushed the nodashi in his hand forward and broke Zoro's move neatly. How is that possible? Zoro lowered his head in astonishment. His mouth was held up by the handle of the knife at this time. Pff'd, a mouthful of blood gushed out of the throat, overflowing the corner of the mouth. Not all the young guys are Andre and have the quality to fight me. The bald old man with glasses shook his hand, and suddenly a huge force passed through the hilt of the sword, knocking Zoro into the air. Zoro! Zoro! Sanji, Usopp, and Brook exclaimed at the same time. These young people who don't know what to do, are so weak that they want to challenge the authority of the world government. Each of the Gorosei 5 elders looked disdainful. Oh, what about me? At this time, a cold sound was suddenly heard, and a sword chi swept into the air and fell. The bald old man with glasses subconsciously drew his knife, and the dark red first-generation Onishi reappeared in the world. When the sword energy was surging, and the cyclone generated in the collision shredded the deck, and even scratched the cheek of the old man with glasses. Yawu. The Fold family is indeed a family of swordsmen, all of them are unparalleled in swordsmanship, this old man has learned it. The old man with glasses finally became serious at this time, and saw that he stepped forward with his feet in a lunge, and at the same time held the handle of the knife with both hands, letting the 7 feet 4 inches long knife trail behind him. Oh, a genre I've never seen before. Yawu blocked Kizaru's attack and said with a chuckle. Kizaru's face was a little embarrassed at this time. He didn't dare to fight Yawu in close quarters, because Yawu was good at kendo, and melee combat with him was purely looking for abuse, but the power of his flashing fruit was good for ordinary people, and against peaks level powerhouse, there is not much effect. Before the knife of the bald man with glasses was cut out, the world around him seemed to have become an Asura hell. Is it a hallucination? No, it's sword intent. The sword intent emanating from the bald old man with glasses actually enveloped the surrounding sea area. Is this the strength of the Gorosei 5 elders? Charlotte Linlin squinted and snorted. Shanks is holding his western sword. As a great swordsman in the world, this kind of duel between top swordsmen makes him emotional and unable to restrain himself. The old man's Shira flow may have been forgotten. When the bald old man with glasses opened his mouth, the expression of Janao who was present suddenly changed. Shira flow, that is a legendary school. I can actually witness the Shira flow with my own eyes. Mihawk's eyes widened. Shiryu of the Rain looked serious and solemn, the invincible genre in the legend. Is this Shira flow strong? Andre asked when he saw that Harold was also looking ugly. Harold nodded with difficulty and said in a trembling voice, Boss, according to legend, this is the sword technique granted by Shira in Purgatory, and the sword technique and sword are tempered with the soul and flesh of strangers. At this time, Whitebeard patted Andre's shoulder hard. I have heard similar rumors. I heard that Shira-Lu passed down from generation to generation, and each generation of descendants had to kill the teacher himself to be considered qualified, so he never failed. So the strength of this guy may be underestimated by you and me.